I have a really exciting video because I went out and bought every single drugstore foundation so you don't have to. And now we're gonna test them all out back to back, starting from least expensive to most expensive. But before I get into testing these foundations, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Now let's really get into it. So the least expensive out of all the ones that I have, and I have 45 of these foundations, is from Revolution Beauty. It's the Super Matte 2-in-1 foundation plus concealer. It's a full coverage foundation. This is $5. Now, just a forewarning, and just something I really need to point out. There's a huge price discrepancy throughout all of these formulas. So it really depends on where you buy them. And I'll make sure to call out the retailer that I purchased each foundation so you know where that price is coming from, because there is a really big difference. It's actually kind of crazy when I was going through and comparing my receipts and then looking online at different retailers. The price differences are big. So this one is $5 at Walmart. So I'm gonna shake this. And the shade that I picked up is F8.5. Okay, that's definitely gonna be way too light for me. Oops. So here's the thing, and this is something that I've noticed throughout this whole journey. Also, I hate the fact that this does not have a pump. This has no pump to it. You have to pour it out, which is super messy. I already got so much of it out on the cap. So I'm gonna be pointing out too throughout this entire video who has good shade ranges and who has absolutely horrendous shade ranges. This is one of the brands that had a horrendous shade range. I got the third to darkest shade that they offered in this foundation, and look how light this is on me. Okay, so it has no fragrance to it. It's very plastery. It's got like a very plastery feeling to it. It does not blend well into your skin at all. I feel like I'm putting on, I don't even know what I feel like I'm putting on. It's a terrible finish. Blends terrible into my skin. Honestly, I don't want to put this all over. Now, shade aside, obviously I chose the wrong shade, but to be honest, like I said, I got the third to darkest shade that they offered, so I thought I was going to be somewhat close, but this is just a terrible shade match. Color aside, I feel like it does not blend into my skin well at all. It has like a very powdery finish to it because it's trying to be matte. It's a super matte formula. So it is drying down. It's accentuating all the pores on my cheeks, and I've actually never seen my pores look so big in my life. It just looks dusty. It's not a cute finish at all. This is not a nice finish foundation. It took a while to blend it into my skin too, and I obviously still need to blend a little bit more, but I'm just really unimpressed with this formula. So for $5, I do not recommend this one at all. Save your money and put it towards a good foundation. So that is the Revolution Beauty Super Matte Foundation. This next one is also from Revolution Beauty. It's the Super Serum Hyaluronic Acid Foundation. I also picked up the same shade thinking I was getting the right shade. So this is F8.5. This is $6, so it's $1 more than the last one. It's gonna be more of a glowy finish, I'm imagining, just based on the title alone. So let's try it out. It looked like it was maybe previously kind of opened. I don't think anyone like swatched this on their face, so I think we're just gonna risk it. We're just gonna go for it. So this has a dropper to it. Okay, so I'm gonna drop it onto my palette. Color is definitely gonna be way too light, as we already know, so we won't really talk about the color again. We already know it's gonna be not the right color. But I think for this one, I wanna do something different. I wanna apply this with my fingertips. It's a serum foundation. It's gonna feel more, or it should feel more, you know, hydrating and liquidy. And I'm not typically someone who applies foundation with their fingertips. It's not my preferred method at all, but I know a lot of you out there do prefer this method and do use this method a lot. So I just want to test out a couple foundations by applying them with my fingertips and blending them on. Okay, so this one has a better finish than the last one. It's definitely more of a satin. It's not serumy. It doesn't feel like it's got hyaluronic acid in it. It doesn't feel moisturizing at all, but it does feel a lot better than that previous one. That previous one felt like bad Halloween makeup that you would get at like the drugstore for Halloween when you were a kid. So I'm gonna pat it in and try to give this a good, fair chance. So the shade obviously is too light for me, but we'll just kind of ignore that. That's partially my fault, partially the brand's fault for not having a broad shade range, to say the least. That's actually putting it nicely. But this is better. I have a little bit of a dry spot right here on my skin currently, and it's clinging to that area in a really unflattering way. And I have skin prep on too, so my skin is prepped for this makeup tutorial. Clinging to areas that are a little bit more dry. It definitely does not feel like hydrating and serum-like, but it's better than the last one. I can say that. It's a lot better than the last one. For $6, I still wouldn't recommend this. I'm sorry. I still would not recommend even for $6. I know it sounds really tempting because it's only $6 and it's like extremely affordable, but the way it feels on my skin is not pleasant. I will say though, to its benefit, it's not accentuating my pores as much as that last one. Like this actually looks somewhat skin-like. The areas that it's clinging to where I have more dryness is not cute at all. And yeah, not a fan of this one. I say skip this one completely. I say skip all the ones from Revolution Beauty. I really do. Like just skip them. But that is the Revolution Super Serum Foundation. This next one is also $6, but again, depending on where you purchase it, so just keep that in mind throughout this whole video. It varies so much, but this is from Wet n Wild. I picked this one up at Walmart. It was $6 at Walmart, and this is the Photo Focus Foundation. It's supposed to be a dewy finish, and I got the shade Desert Beige. So let's test out Desert Beige. Beige has always been the kind of colors that I would choose when I used to wear drugstore foundation back in the day, and they usually worked out. Coming up, I have a lot of foundations that have beige in the title. How do you open this? Okay, let's just see. All right, this is maybe not. Okay, I guess not. Well, here's the thing. Oh, okay, sorry. I'm glad I figured that out for all of us. So it's got like almost like a fake doe foot applicator. So let's try this out. Let's swatch this. Woo! There's a piece of microplastic in there. That's good. All right, so for this one, I want to apply this with a brush. Okay, color is obviously off. But color aside, I know the color is completely off for me. I know. But I will say, this actually looks very nice. That blended into my skin really well. I have to say, like, it blended in really well. Very easy. It's not clinging to like that dryness on my cheek. It's not accentuating my pores. It has a nice like semi-satin finish. It definitely is kind of leaning on the glowy side, but also in certain areas a little more satin. I think the finish is really pretty. I'm not gonna lie, I think the finish is really nice. Let's just check if it has like any fragrance to it. I can't tell. I don't think it smells like anything. This is not bad. I have to say, I think this is a pretty good buy. Shade aside, I think this is really pretty. And I wonder if you could build this up. Let's just see if you could kind of build up with the coverage just while we're here. Why not? It's so deceiving because when it goes on, it looks like it has like a beautiful olive undertone, but then once you blend it in, it turns straight red, like more cool toned. So very deceiving. Beige typically should lean more neutral in my opinion, but this one leans very on the cool side, very red. Okay, so you can build it up, it looks like, but it doesn't look cakey once you build it up. It actually still looks really nice. I'm actually really impressed with this one. I think this is nice. It feels good on my skin. Blended in super easy. So like I said, this does have more of a cool red leaning undertone. So just keep that in mind. I think for $6, and you get a good amount too. Okay, it's 0.95 ounces. Okay, so it's under, foundations average like 1 ounce. Yeah, they all pretty much average 1 ounce. So you're actually getting a little less than 1 ounce, just something to take into consideration. But for $6, I think this looks really pretty. If I got the right shade, which I kind of hate myself for, I had a really hard time, not gonna lie. I feel for all of you when you're going to the drugstore and you're trying to find your true color, like the right color that's gonna match you. It is extremely difficult. You're battling the overhead lighting. You're battling not having any natural lighting around you, which is like very difficult when you're just judging a color based on artificial lighting. It's so hard to tell what it's going to look like. You're going off of their coloring systems, which are usually really off, like really off in the drugstore. And then you're also battling the fact that there is just minimal to non-existent shade range. So it's really frustrating. I had a really hard time shopping for this video. I'm not gonna lie. I had a really difficult time. It took me days to get all these foundations. All that to say, I actually would recommend you try this one out from Wet n Wild. If you could find your exact shade match or something close to it, because it's gonna be very difficult with the amount of options that are available. For $6, I think this looks really pretty. I really do. My skin looks healthy, looks smooth. It's not accentuating any pores. It's not clinging to any dryness on my cheek. I think it looks good. So that's the Wet n Wild Photo Focus Dewy Foundation. This next one is from e.l.f. Cosmetics. I'm going to apply the shade 250 Buff. This has a more warm yellow undertone. The good thing about e.l.f. is they are very considerate with listing the undertones that these are supposedly going to be, which is very helpful. So if you know your undertone going into purchasing a drugstore foundation, that's going to be extremely helpful. And I want to see how I could manipulate this with my fingertips. Okay, so it's kind of coming back to me. This was a $6 foundation, so incredibly affordable. I mean, beyond. Blends into my skin really easy, like very easy. I'd say this is more of a medium to full coverage. Medium, but you could always build this up. It does not accentuate my pores whatsoever. In fact, I actually feel like it's making my skin look quite smooth. It's not really clinging. I have this one dry spot right here. You probably can't tell on camera, but it's not really clinging to that area too much. Let's go over the half of my chin. I have to say, this is impressive. I don't have really any bad feedback on this at all. I think it looks super smooth on my cheek. The coverage is nice. I think if you want to manipulate it, and let's say you're someone who has more dry skin and you want to wear this foundation, just based on this review, you could mix this with an illuminating, like a mixing medium, some kind of like illuminating liquid or like an illuminating primer underneath. That would be really pretty too. I think this is worth checking out for sure. I think that e.l.f. has some really, I've said this before, like really great, inexpensive product. And I think this is one of them. I think this is really nice. Oh, it does say on the cover, it's medium coverage. I forgot about that. I think it's really pretty. I definitely think it's worth checking out. I'm happy I got to try this again. We have one more in the $6 range. It's gonna vary immensely from retailer to retailer. Now, I actually picked this one up at Walgreens, and I will say Walgreens turned out throughout this whole video, Walgreens turned out to be the most expensive retailer for drugstore foundations. I was shocked by their prices. This one, for some reason, I noticed is like $6 throughout retailers. I think even at Walmart, it might be cheaper, to be honest. I think at Walmart it was like $4. So this is the Rimmel Stay Matte Full Coverage Mattifying Foundation. I have the shade 203 True Beige. Wish me luck on the shade because who knows? Who knows what it's gonna be like. I'm gonna squeeze some out on my painter's palette. And you know what, this one, let's apply this with a brush. Let's switch it up throughout. I wanna give like different brushes and techniques throughout. But I will say, like this one out the gate is a very like thick, almost kind of like a moussey texture. This is the Rimmel. Let's start to swirl it in. It's definitely a beige undertone. This has more of a neutral beige this time, which is good. All right, so this is very matte. It's definitely doing what it claims to do. It's definitely a matte finish. It dried down pretty quick. It has a nice, like, smooth finish to it. It did cling to this area a little bit, which, you know, that's pretty much to be expected if it's a matte foundation or a matte formula and it's going on top of a dry patch in your skin. It can cling to that area. But this was very easy to blend on, all in all. I can definitely tell it's buildable. So you could definitely build up the coverage if you need more in certain areas of your skin. It feels nice. And if I was gonna wear like a full-on matte drugstore foundation, I'm very pleasantly surprised by this. I think if you have, let's say you have more combination skin, because if you're dry, I wouldn't recommend this because it's gonna be a matte formula. If you're dry, you wanna stay far away from anything that has a matte finish. But let's say you have combination, where like you're oily in the T-zone, dry on your cheeks, something like that. If you utilize really good skin prep with this and maybe a really good smoothing primer beforehand, I could see you being able to wear this formula. But all in all, I think it's really pretty. It's heavy, I will say that. It's definitely a heavier feeling because it's a matte full coverage, but it's not bad. And I actually think that the color works really well on me, so I'm happy about that. I think it's really pretty. So that's the Rimmel London Stay Matte Full Coverage Mattifying Foundation. Next one is from Profusion. It's $7. This is the Profusion Feel Good Skin Longwear Skin Perfector with hyaluronic acid. It's a medium to full coverage, natural satin finish, SPF 15. It's vegan and cruelty free, as they all should be. And it's the shade medium 3. So it's medium 3 neutral. So let's test it out. How many ounces is in this? Okay, so I thought for a second it was gonna be like really low on the ounces because it just feels so like flimsy and like you barely get anything, but it's still 1 fluid ounce, which is very typical with foundations, all foundations. So I'm gonna pump some out on my palette. And for this one, I'm feeling just applying it with my fingertips because I feel like it's gonna be more of like a skin tint just based on the packaging, even though I know it does not say that. But let's apply it with my fingertips and see what we think. Blends in really nice. Looks really pretty right off the bat, like even before I fully blend it in, but really is blending in, honestly, like, wow, like butter. It's super easy to blend. I love the finish. The finish is just, it's actually really nice. It feels like it's giving me like more of a high-end finish, to be honest. It has a fragrance to it. It definitely smells like Windexy. It smells like cleaning supplies to me. It's not super strong, but it's definitely there. It's not clinging to my dry patch right here on my cheek. It's not accentuating my pores. The undertone is actually really nice. I'd say it's a neutral, slightly leaning towards being a warm undertone, but definitely like it's definitely in the neutral range. Let me put a little bit more on my chin. I feel like this is gonna be, yeah, buildable. I mean, this is melted into my skin. I'm shocked at how much I like this just right off the bat. That looks beautiful. Wow. If you can get over the cleaning supply scent it has, the Windexy fragrance that it has to it, I think this is really pretty. I'm like shocked at how beautiful this looks, to be honest. Wow. Nice finish. I'd say it's more of like a satin plus finish, like not super dewy. It's not, definitely not matte. It has like more of like a satin plus a little extra glow to it type finish. I think the only downfall to this is the fact that it has that like chemically artificial fragrance to it, which is just like if you're gonna fragrance something, like make it smell good. I love like good smelling products, but this doesn't smell, it smells cheap, like very cheap. But yeah, that's a beautiful finish. I'm shocked. This is quite beautiful and was a dream to apply, like very easy to apply. I think this is, I have to say, I think this is a winner. This is a really good one. For $7, it's beautiful. And, you know, going into it, you think it's going to be like less than 1 ounce because it's so thin, but you get a good amount in it. It's just like every other foundation. So I like that a lot. Wow. This might be a standout so far. So this is the Profusion Feel Good Skin Longwear Skin Perfector. Next is from Hard Candy. This is also $7. Okay, I have to just point this out before I even try it. And by the way, I got the shade 1511 Honey. But Hard Candy, I actually took a picture of it because I was so appalled. Their color range was by far the worst. So I'm gonna try not to be biased going into it because of that, and just we're gonna test out the formula, we're gonna test out the finish, all those things. So this has a doe foot applicator, so I'm gonna just swipe it onto my skin. This is definitely leaning on the yellow golden side. So let's apply it with a brush. Okay, hold on. Let me actually read what this is supposed to be. So it's the Hard Candy Glamouflage Full Coverage Foundation. It's supposed to wear for hours. It's oil-free with vitamin E. This is not a full coverage Hard Candy. This is like, this just disappeared on my skin. So I'm going to go put some more on and let's see if we can get a full coverage out of this. So normally if you want a full coverage, you stipple the product on. If you buff too much, you're just going to end up buffing it straight off your face. But even with that technique of maintaining the coverage, of pushing it onto my skin, this is not a full coverage. This is a medium at best. And I had to layer 2 big dollops of this. Undertone, it's not a honey undertone, that's for sure. When I think honey, it's definitely a very yellow, warm undertone, but this is just not cute. Let's do even more. I imagine you would go through this so fast. And also this is way under 1 fluid ounce. So this is 0.67, which is like not the standard. The standard, like I said, is 1 fluid ounce for foundation. So you're not even getting a good amount, and judging by how much layering you have to do to get a good amount of coverage, it's not cute. It looks decent up here, I guess, but I can still like see through the coverage. There's something like very see-through about this formula. It just kind of disappears into your skin, which is not what you want or expect for a full coverage. I think this is not a good buy. I would not waste my money on this. There's no fragrance to it, which is nice, but this is not worth checking out at all. It's not even worth trying to layer more and more on my skin. And yeah, I can't imagine this wearing for hours, that's for sure. There's like absolutely no way this would wear for hours, but it's, you know, it's a good claim. But that's the Hard Candy Glamouflage Full Coverage Foundation. Okay, this next one takes me back to being a teenager and seeing this in the aisles at, you know, the drugstore, like Target, Walmart, all those places. This is the Covergirl Clean Liquid Foundation. I picked up the shade 153 Sand Beige. So we're gonna see if this is like a nice beigey neutral. But I'm pretty sure, because I recognize this bottle. I think I had definitely tried this at one point when I was a teenager, but I don't remember. Obviously, I'm sure it's been reformulated 1,000 times over, but I don't remember, like, obviously what my thoughts would be because that was a million years ago. But it kind of smells like cinnamon and vanilla mixed with like a flower. So it's definitely fragranced. It's designed for normal skin, it says. So it's one of those ones you have to pour out. So I'm going to pour some out on my palette. Oh, that goes out fast. Okay. Wow. I'll just recap this. And I think I'm going to apply this with a brush. I'm going to apply this with one of my favorites, my BK Beauty 106. Oh, the smell is really... Why does it smell so bad? This is like the strongest fragrance. Okay, now it actually smells like mouthwash. Oh, no. This smells like Vicks Vapor Rub. You have to smell this. Yeah, just smell this and tell me what you think it smells like. Mitch is gonna smell it. with his fresh nose.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, it's very liquidy. It's out of control liquidy. Yeah, like Vicks, right? Like menthol-y.
Yeah, kind of.
It feels, why does it feel cold on my face too? What is in this? It feels like it's cooled down this side of my face. Okay, so undertone wise, let's talk about this undertone really quick. It definitely is a nice beige. I'll give it that. But the fact that when you blend it, it just blends right off your skin. It's terribly streaky. It's like the streakiest, weirdly liquidy foundation I've ever tried. Not good. Not good at all. I mean, if you can get past the scent of this alone, it's still not okay. It's terrible. It's terrible. Because every time I try to blend it in, and I can tell actually it's oxidizing before my eyes. So this area right here where it's had a chance to dry down, where I haven't really manipulated it too much or tried to blend it, it's actually darker on the outer perimeter up here because it's oxidizing on my skin as it's drying down. So, wow, it's actually so bad. I want to take this off my skin so fast. I can't stop smelling it. It's giving my skin a tingle, and it's getting progressively darker as I'm sitting here, right? It's actually getting darker and darker. It did not start out this dark. Oh boy, that's horrible. That's really bad. I wish I didn't use my BK brush for this one because I'm probably gonna have a hard time cleaning that off. Coverage is terrible. The blendability is formula. All of it is terrible. Do not waste your $7, or could be more or less depending on where you buy it. But don't waste your money on this, please. I beg you, don't buy this. It's awful. It's beyond bad. It's so bad. And it smells like I rubbed Vicks Vapor Rub on my face right now. Yeah, so okay, that's the CoverGirl Clean Liquid Foundation. Next is also $7. It's actually the last one. Again, I say this with a grain of salt. Where I purchased it, it was $7. It's the last $7 foundation that I have in front of me. It's from Rimmel London. It's the Lasting Finish 25 hour. Why would you want to keep your foundation on for an hour longer than an entire day? It's just beyond me. So like these claims are just ridiculous. Who's testing it? Why? You know, like it's just so silly. It's like, stop trying to trick people and like, you know, like don't try to fool us. Let's just like, we're not stupid, you know? 25-hour wear. Why would you wear it for 25 hours? It's like saying 2 weeks. What's next? 2-week foundation, 2-week wear. Your skin's gonna be dying underneath if you do that. Anyway, there's a reason why I don't wear drugstore foundation, and it's like coming up, and I'm gonna try to like keep my cool throughout this video. I'm sorry, but I feel very strongly about this kind of stuff. Anyway, long-lasting finish, hydration boost it claims to have. It's a full coverage, has SPF 20. Those are my doggies. And it's in the shade 210 Golden Beige. That's the one that I picked up. So it's 1 fluid ounce. Let's test it out. I like that it has a pump. So kudos to Rimmel London. I also, just to throw it out there, it's cute that they added that, you know? It's like the little things in a sea of bad in front of me. Okay, so I'm gonna do a nice pump of it. And here, let's apply this one with my fingertips. So the shade I got, Golden Beige. Okay, definitely has a golden undertone. So it's gonna be leaning a little bit more on the yellow side. I don't know if I consider this a full coverage. I feel like this is more of a medium to buildable because I can still see some redness on my cheek with that first initial swipe. And I put a good amount on too. So definitely would consider this more medium buildable. So let me build up a little bit more. It does blend on nice though, I will say. It seems to be blending on very nicely. I'll kind of take the blending back. Okay. The more you blend it, it starts to streak. So just gonna put this out there. I know I have a lot of subscribers that like to use their fingertips to apply foundation. I know there's just a lot of people in general that like to use their fingertips. I am not that person, but for the sake of this video, I really want to switch it up and do a brush and my fingertips. But I will say it's hard to not leave fingerprints on my skin at times with certain formulas. This one is one that's leaving some fingerprints on my skin. With that said, undertone is nice. It definitely is an accurate description of the undertone. It's buildable. As you can see, I definitely built it up. I did 2 full layers, basically. I don't think it's not quite, it doesn't look smooth on my dry patch, which it feels weird for me to say that I never have dry patches on my skin. My skin's having like a weird moment at this moment. It's having a weird time. It's having a moment of its own. So it is clinging a teeny bit to that dry patch, but it's not accentuating pores, which is something I really look for with the foundation. It has a nice smooth finish. The finish of it, so it doesn't actually tell you, it just says a lasting finish, but it doesn't tell you if it's going to be dewy or matte. I'd say this is a nice satin finish. It seems to be a nice satin finish. Definitely has a scent to it, but it's not terrible. It's definitely like you could get past it for sure. It's kind of pleasant. Not gonna lie. It's not like, it's not offensive at all. It doesn't smell like Vicks Vapor Rub, which is good. But for $7, I think this is pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. I think this is pretty good. I'm not gonna give it like a ton of kudos, but it's not bad. It's not the worst one you could get. It's actually, yeah, it's actually not worse. It's not bad at all, to be honest. It's pretty nice. The more I look at it, I think this is worth checking out. For $7, this is definitely, I wouldn't say it's the best one out of the ones I've tried so far, and we have so many more to come. Now, if you are wanting to stick with this price range, building up to be a full coverage foundation, if you're looking for that kind of finish, and if you want to be more of a satin, it's worth checking out. So, Rimmel London Lasting Finish. This next one I picked up at CVS Pharmacy, and I noticed there's a big change again in the price. It ranges a lot from retailer to retailer, but at CVS, this was $8. This is the Oma Beauty, and I actually love Oma Beauty, and I've liked them before. They were in any drugstores. Now they're in Walmart. They're, of course, in CVS, like I said. So they're very affordable now. I think they start out to be more of a, maybe trying to be more luxury, but now they're like fully on the affordable drugstore side of things, which is great. It's more, you know, it's gonna be more attainable for most people. Anyway, they're female owned. I want to support them. And I actually remember trying their foundation back in the day before they were in drugstores and really liking it. So I'm curious to see if this is going to be like the original one that I tried many, many years ago. I think at this point it was like 4 or 5 years ago that I first tried this brand. This is, I should name it. This is the Flawless in Real Life IRL Skin Perfecting Foundation infused with dandelion extract. I'm not sure why that would be in there. I could look it up, but it's a medium to full coverage, and I got the shade Honey Honey T4, and this is actually the shade that I had originally when I first tried the brand, but I remember it being a little too dark for me, so it's probably gonna be the same now. But out of the options that were available, this is still the best one out of what was available to choose from. So open this guy up. Cute packaging. I like the see-through pink lid. Okay, so I'm gonna pump it out, and I'm gonna put this one on with a brush. I want to see how it's going to blend on, how I would normally put a foundation on. So I'm going to use my e.l.f. Duo Complexion. This has a bad fragrance to it. Okay, color aside. Clearly I chose wrong still. Even after all these years, I still chose the wrong shade. It's deceivingly darker once it hits my skin. Very, very warm. Almost quite orange. So shade aside, I messed up, clearly. But it blends on nice. Coverage is like, yeah, it says medium to full. I could see it being a medium to full. It dries down astonishingly quick. So if you have dry skin, I don't know if I would opt for this at all. And it's Skin Perfecting Foundation. I wonder what the dandelion extract is supposed to be doing. It's interesting. It's feeling kind of mask-like right now, but that's partially because the color is so far off from my skin. It's not even funny. I think the finish is actually really nice. This is more of a satin matte finish, like satin to matte finish. It's not fully matte because I'm seeing some nice shine still throughout my skin here. But in that drier area of my cheek right here, it's definitely clean, and it's definitely, yeah, it's noticeably dry and kind of dull in that area, and also on my chin. It blended nice though. It did like blend on pretty easy. But the one thing that I can't get over is it smells really bad. Like it smells really bad. It smells like wet paper with ink on it, like newspaper. It smells like a inky wet newspaper, which is unfortunate. I wanted to really like this one, so whatever. But that aside, because that, you know, people, that's kind of like more of like a particular thing. Like not everyone's gonna care about fragrance. Some people really hate it, some people don't mind it at all. It's like a very personal, like subjective thing, right? So let's put that aside. The finish is pretty nice. It's actually pretty nice. It's a full, now that I'm looking at it, it feels like a full coverage for sure. I'd say if you're dry, do not try to wear this. If you are on the oily side and you want a really good amount of coverage that you could build up, I'd say it's worth checking out. And if you're someone who's very unbothered by things that don't smell good, it's worth checking out. But if you cannot handle anything that's fragrance in any way on your skin, you're gonna hate it. So take those two things into consideration. Price-wise, it's $8. That's a really affordable foundation, like very, very affordable. So I'm really on the fence, but I'm leaning towards a no for me. Like I said, if you're looking for a full coverage foundation and you don't mind fragrance, then I'd say it's worth checking out. But for me personally, this is a no. Now we're in the $9 price range, depending on where you purchase it. Where I picked this up, it's $9. I got this at Walmart. This is the Maybelline Fit Me Dewy and Smooth foundation. It's for normal to dry skin. This is a very helpful thing to put on the packaging of a foundation. Just the fact that it says normal to dry. So if you know what your skin type is, like if it's normal, if it's dry, if it's combo, if it's oily, those are things you should definitely know when you're going into the drugstore to pick out a foundation. You need to know those things beforehand for sure. So if you do know that, it's super easy to pick one up that says normal to dry. Like that's really, really helpful. So I really like that. This is the Fit Me foundation. It's got sunscreen in it. It has broad spectrum SPF 18. It also has vitamin E in it. So probably vitamin E to like calm your skin. So it's supposed to help hydrate and smooth your skin. And I got the shade 128 Warm Nude. So let's try it out. You know, colors are just really difficult at the drugstore. They're really difficult. By the way, this has a pour out container, which is not ideal or convenient in any way, shape, or form. So unless you're someone who has a spatula at home, you're gonna have a hard time just even getting your foundation out. Okay, this shade is gonna be way too light. I messed up. Okay, let's apply it. It's a very minimally fragranced foundation. I don't know if it's artificially fragranced or if it's just natural ingredients that are fragrancing it, but it actually smells pleasant. It's very, very faint. Blends on nice. Okay, I'm getting a little more fragrance now. I'm starting to smell it a little bit more. It's like, it has like a slight, clean, powdery fragrance to it. It's very subtle. This actually feels great on my skin. This is like a drink of water compared to all those other foundations. This feels nice. It feels really nice. It's giving a beautiful finish. I feel like I have really healthy, glowy skin. Blends on very easy, even with my fingertips, which you know this is not my preferred method. It's blended on very smooth, very effortlessly. It honestly feels really nice on my skin. This is a standout for sure. Now, couple things. So I'm gonna build it up just because I'm having a really nice time and I'm really enjoying this whole experience with this foundation. If you are oily, I'd say stay away from it because it does have more of a glowy, radiant finish. Unless you don't mind adding to that glow, then by all means go for it. I think this is gonna be definitely great for someone who has normal to dry skin or has dry skin. This looks really, really pretty. The shade is pleasantly great on me. I think this is a really nice one. So yeah, again, this is 128 Warm Nude. So it has my undertone. It's more of a warm golden undertone. It's blending actually straight into my neck, which I don't typically do that. I usually go for a shade that's closer to like the rest of my body, which is much darker than my face. But this looks beautiful. Finish is stunning. Absolutely stunning. Definitely is buildable like I showed you. I definitely built it up to be a little bit fuller in coverage. But it just feels amazing on my skin. I'm shocked. It's not clinging to my pores. It's not clinging to my dry spot on my cheek. It's not emphasizing my pores in any way. My skin looks smooth and just healthy. I think that's the best way to describe it. This is like a smooth and healthy looking finish. I love it. I really love it. So for $9, right? Yeah, this is great. I highly recommend this. I'm not gonna lie. Maybelline Fit Me. That looks beautiful. Let me just close up this cap. That's stunning. I'm a big fan. I mean, that looks beautiful. That looks like it's like an Armani Luminous Silk type finish, which I really love. Like it's really impressive. I'm gonna be wearing this. I'm definitely gonna keep trying this out and wearing it because that's beautiful. Wow. So that is the Maybelline Fit Me Dewy and Smooth Normal to Dry Skin Foundation. Definitely recommend this one. You have to check this out if you have dry skin. You're wanting a $9 or under $10, I should say, is more accurate, foundation for your normal to dry skin or your dry skin. This is definitely worth checking out. Okay, we're back. It's a new day, and now we're joined by a pimple on my face and even more dents on my forehead from my baseball cap that I wear when I walk my dogs. But we're gonna pick up right where we left off, and we're on to another Maybelline Fit Me foundation. This is the Fit Me Matte. It's the matte plus poreless. It says it's for normal to oily skin. I like that it says that. I think that's just, again, like really helpful. The shade that I picked up is the same. It's the 128 Warm Nude. So we're gonna give this a little shake. This is also $9. And that last one, the Fit Me Dewy, I wrote down 3 stars for it because I was so impressed by the way it looked. I thought it looked beautiful and it felt amazing on my skin. So I have high hopes for this matte version of the same formula. Again, there's no pump with this one, so I'm gonna pour it out and try not to over pour. Let's go for that amount. Okay, I'm gonna apply this with a brush. I'm gonna grab my 106 from BK Beauty and let's test it out. Doesn't smell like anything, which is nice. There's no like artificial fragrance or chemical-y smell to it, which is, you know, very, very nice for a drugstore foundation, I think. Okay, so blends on pretty easy. It is a little on the streaky side, especially compared to the last one, the dewy one. It's very, like it goes on almost instantly matte. So it's definitely giving you what it claims to be, which is a matte finish foundation. So for the oily skin people out there that are looking for a drugstore foundation, I do think this would be a good option. I mean, it's drying down almost right away. It's definitely clean to some dry patch or some dryness I have on my cheek right now. My skin's just all kinds of irritated at the moment. I don't know what it is, but it makes it a good time to test out foundations because it really gives you a good idea of what it's gonna look like on top of any like skin complications. So like for right now, I have like a pimple here, and which is very convenient for this video. And then I also have that dryness that's still on my cheek. So it's a good time to try out some foundations is my point. So overall, blends on pretty easy. It did look a little streaky. I had to like kind of work it a little more into my skin than I did the last one, the dewy finish. I do think that the coverage is nice. I can tell it's buildable. Like I could definitely keep building up the coverage and just keep getting more out of it. It feels like a matte foundation. So, you know, if you've ever tried a matte foundation, you know how it feels. It could feel a little bit heavier on your skin. It could feel a little bit more tight, especially if you have dryness in your skin. So if you are dry or combination dry, or combination mature, I would not go for this formula. I would go for the opposite one. I'd go for the dewy one instead. But if you have maybe acne prone skin, oily skin, combination acne prone skin, and you want a medium to buildable coverage foundation that has a matte finish, I would definitely say this is worth checking out. So that is the Maybelline Fit Me Matte Poreless Foundation. Next up is one that I'm really excited to try. I've actually wanted to try this for a couple years now. It's been out for a few years. It's the Covergirl Clean Fresh Skin Milk Nourishing Foundation. This says it has coconut milk and aloe extract, so I'm assuming it's supposed to be like a calming foundation for your skin. It's vegan, it's a dewy finish, and I have the shade 570 Medium Tan. This is also only $9, so really good deal. Like $9. It's 1 fluid ounce, just like standard size. I just poured some out on my palette. And I think with this one, honestly, since it's more of like supposed to be like more of a lightweight formula, I want to apply with my fingertips. I want to keep switching it up throughout this video. Okay, so, wow, looks beautiful. That looks beautiful. And I've actually heard so many good things about this foundation, so I'm really not too surprised that I like it. I had high hopes for it for that reason. There's just so many people that love this drugstore foundation, and I've always wanted to try it, but to be honest, and this color is obviously a little bit dark for me, I'd have to bring it down my neck so it would match like the rest of my body. And then it actually would be, in reality, a really good match for me. I've wanted to try it for so long, but it's always sold out. Like every shade that could possibly work for me has always been sold out. So I haven't been able to try it until this video. So I'm really excited. And that's so easy. That blended on within like seconds. Took like no work whatsoever. I don't think there's any fragrance to this. Let me smell it. Yeah, it doesn't smell like anything. Feels really nice on my skin. Looks really pretty. It has like a soft, glowy satin finish. It's not overly dewy. It's not like, it feels like it's going to stay put on my skin really well, which is nice. I feel like this would be a really good foundation for anyone. Like mature, dry, oily. I have like slightly more oily skin like I talk about a lot. And I feel like this would be a nice formula for pretty much anyone. So, I mean, even like probably acne prone, I would assume, because it's, you know, more of a clean formula, it's saying, yeah, I think it would be good for anyone. I think this is a really good formula for $9. That's really, really pretty. I'm definitely going to keep wearing this one. I'm going to probably throw this in my actual makeup bag and continue to test it out for sure. That's high up there. This one's going to be high up there in the ranking. I can already tell. So once again, that's the Covergirl Clean Fresh Skin Milk Nourishing Foundation in the shade Medium Tan. We're still in the $9 range, and I can't even tell you how excited I am for this foundation. I have so many reasons behind why I'm so excited for this. This foundation is the Maybelline Dream Matte Mousse. I feel like this, at this point, is an iconic foundation that, if you're a millennial, I'm a millennial, and this foundation is like, I feel like this was the drugstore foundation for the millennials. Let me know in the comments if you agree. And if you are a millennial like myself and you've tried this and you have fond memories of it, please like share them with me because this is near and dear to my heart. This is actually the first foundation that I ever bought myself. And I loved it. I loved it. I remember packing it on, layering it. I remember the way it smelled. I remember the texture. I don't remember what shade I used. I want to say it was something that had honey in it. I feel like mine was a honey shade, like it had honey in the name of it. But yeah, I have the shade now. I bought the shade Natural Beige. It's medium 2.5. Let's open up this piece of nostalgia. I am just so excited. Okay, clearly I think I got too dark of a shade, but it was like the closest option to my skin tone that was available in both the drugstores that I checked this out at. But anyway, we're gonna swipe this. I used to put this on with my fingertips, so that's exactly what I'm gonna do. It is very mousse-like. This is like whipped mousse. Doesn't smell like anything. I feel like I remember it smelling like something, so maybe they changed it. You ready for this Dream Matte Mousse? I am so ready to go down. Oh, God, this is so bad. Okay, all right. Actually, it's very interesting. I'm remembering why I liked it. I felt like it made my skin more matte, and I was always just hating on the fact that I had oily skin when I was younger. By the way, I used to wear this when I was like a teenager. Like, I think I bought this when I was, because I didn't start wearing makeup till like later in my teens. I think I started finally wearing makeup when I was like 16, 17. And I remember liking the finish because I was, you know, had very oily skin growing up. And this left me like matte and like silky. It felt like whipped, or like ricotta cheese on my face. Still does. Okay, so I have to say, the way it went on at first was disgusting. The way it blends feels kind of gross. But the finish of it, however, is quite impressive. Now, let's leave like the color aside. The colors, obviously, it's off. It's not the right color. I gotta say, look at that finish. The finish is really pretty. I feel like I have no pores. It feels like very airbrushed. I mean, it blended in really easy. It just looks really gross once it hits your skin, in my opinion. But look how pretty it looks. It actually looks really, really pretty. The other thing I was going to point out is I feel like this is on the verge of pilling, and I'm just like keeping it under wraps. Like I feel like if I play with it more and I try to blend it more, it's going to start to pill and like bunch up and lift off my skin. But anyway, all that to say, for $9, you know, I might be biased because I used to wear this again when I was like 16, 17 years old. So I have really fond memories of it, and it's near and dear to my heart because it's the first drugstore foundation I ever bought for myself. And it reminds me of being young. It reminds me of being a teenager, which is like good and bad, if you know what I mean. But it's pretty. I gotta hand it to them. It's pretty. I'm very surprised at how beautiful this finish is. So, hey, not bad, Maybelline. I'm definitely being reminded of why I liked it when I was a teenager. That is the Maybelline Dream Matte Mousse Foundation. This next one is also $9. It's from LA Girl Cosmetics. And if you know me, you know that I love the LA Girl Cosmetics lip liners. They're like $4, maybe they're like $5 now. I feel like they're $4 still. Anyway, they are like the cheapest, best lip liners you could ever try. Other than NYX. I love the NYX lip liners too. Those are like two of my favorite drugstore lip liners. But I've never tried their foundation. I've tried their color correctors. I've tried their concealers. Their concealers are like $4 and super viral. Very, very popular. But that's about it. That's all I've tried from this brand. And I've tried their liquid lipsticks as well. But this is the Pro Matte HD High Definition Longwear Matte Foundation. I picked up the shade Light Tan. They did not have a lot of shade options at all. In fact, their shade range was just... they should be out of business for how bad their shade range was. I think it was like 8 shades total. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it was less than that. Let's just say it was between like 8 and 9, 10. It was bad. So I'm going to pump some out on my palette and let's test this formula out. So we're going to start with that amount. Let's go for a small drugstore foundation brush. This is a Real Techniques 200 brush. And okay, so definitely a full coverage. Wow. Doesn't really smell like anything. Color is terrible for me. Like I said, there was minimal options to choose from. And it's also kind of hard to tell when it's a frosted bottle. I really don't love that. I mean, if it's a high-end formula where you can actually, there's a tester readily available for you to swatch on your hand, that's totally fine. Then frosted is fine. But when you're talking the drugstore where you can't test them out, and you're going just by the name, the way it looks in the bottle, frosted bottles should not be allowed in the drugstore, in my opinion. So full coverage, like shockingly full coverage. I feel like I just put a mask on my cheek. Definitely covered up that pimple, but it looks really smooth. I didn't want to like this foundation because of the shade range, but it looks very flawless. I feel like if I had the right shade, because this is very, it's light tan, but I don't know. This is just a very yellow shade. But that aside, it's full coverage. I would say if you are on a very tight budget, $9 is like, you know, nothing for a foundation. Let's be real. If you want a full coverage, and let's say you have like, you know, things you're really trying to cover up, like maybe acne scars, maybe hyperpigmentation, whatever it is you're trying to cover up and you want an inexpensive foundation. Let's say you can try to find a shade, like if you're lucky enough to find a shade that's available in this formula, I would say check it out. But I would say if you have even remotely dry skin or combination dry skin, stay away from it because, you know, it feels like a very thick, very heavy. But again, it does leave me with a very smooth, very flawless, of course it's flawless because it's like full coverage, but I don't feel like it picked up on my dryness on my cheek. I don't feel like it's enhanced any texture or any pores. I don't feel like it would on people, I should say. So it's a nice finish for a full coverage. It's a nice finish. It's definitely not for me, but if you're looking for one of those things I just mentioned, it would be worth checking out, I think, for the price tag. I just really don't appreciate the fact that they have like minimal, bare bones shades to choose from. But that is the LA Girl Pro Matte HD High Definition Longwear Matte Foundation. Okay, next up, we're in the $10 range. And again, just, you know, reminding you, this is all based on where I picked up these formulas. It has ranged so much in price from drugstore to drugstore, from Walmart to CVS to Walgreens. I mean, the variations in pricing for the same formula is all up and down. So just keep that in mind. So I paid about $10 for this one. It's the L'Oreal Infallible Pro Matte. It's the 24-hour wear. It's a matte finish. There's two different variations of this formula. So this one's coming up a long time from now. We have many foundations to try out before we get to that original formula. But this one I know is newer and it's the Pro Matte. So it's like the Longwear matte version of that classic Infallible formula. Anyway, I have the shade 105 Natural Beige. I'm going to put this one on with my fingertips and test it out. So take out this little guy, squeeze it out on my palette. Let's test it out. You know, it is amazing. I just want to say, so many of these drugstore foundations, it's so hard to find a neutral one. Even when they say they're neutral, they all lean on the warm yellow side. It's quite fascinating. It's like, can we just get some new undertones mixed into these manufacturers? Can we throw them a neutral? Can you throw a red in there? Can you just maybe chill on the yellow? It's kind of crazy. Like, I feel like they all, even with like these totally different names that they're described as, like honey, beige, golden, all these different names, they still all lean incredibly yellow. Okay, so let's talk about color aside, because it's not about the color, but let's talk about this formula. This is like beyond matte, but it looks really smooth and pretty. Like, it looks like a mask, don't get me wrong, but it's very, it just has a very smooth finish to it. Wow. It is shockingly full coverage too. Like, this is wowza full coverage. Doesn't feel horrible on my skin. I would say if you're dry, of course, you'll never want to go for a formula that has matte in the title. That's just not what you're going to want to go for. You're going to want to go for like the complete opposite. So this is going to be for like my matte people out there. So if you want a matte, like a true matte foundation, I mean, I feel like if you powdered this, you would probably like feel like the desert. It'd be so matte on you. But if you want a really matte foundation that has a lot of coverage, like this has a lot of coverage right out the gate, this would be a really good option. I mean, even with all those things that I don't typically like love anymore, I used to love those things, but even with all those things, like it being super matte, super full coverage, my skin still looks really beautiful with it. I'm surprised how much I like this. So that's, I don't know, that's really pretty. It blended on easy. I have a ton on, obviously, but you know, again, it's a full coverage. It's going to go on full on no matter what you do. So I'd say if you're mature with more dry skin, stay away from this. If you are maybe acne prone and you want a full coverage foundation and you want something that is very matte on your skin, definitely check this one out. So again, this is the L'Oreal Infallible Pro Matte 24-hour wear foundation. Okay, we're gonna switch it up. It's also $10. It's from Revlon. It's the Revlon Age Defying times 3, 3 times foundation. It's broad spectrum SPF 20. I have the shade 30 Soft Beige. Test this out. Okay, so I'm gonna pump this out on my palette. I'm assuming since it's a beige, it's gonna go on extremely yellow, just like the rest of them. But I'm gonna apply this one with a BK Beauty 109. This is one of my favorite brushes from BK Beauty. Let's test this out. It doesn't say whether or not it would be for dry, oily, anything like that. So I'm assuming since it's an age defy, they're marketing it towards mature skin. So hopefully it's gonna be more on the hydrating side. Okay, yeah, definitely feels, oh, this actually feels so nice on my skin compared to all those matte ones that I just tried out. Oh, this is pretty. It has a touch of, I don't know if it's fragrance or if it's just from the ingredients in it. It has like a slight smell to it. It just smells nice and clean, to be honest. I kind of enjoy the scent. I think it smells nice. This is really pretty. I can tell it's gonna be more of a light to medium coverage, but definitely buildable. So I'm gonna build it up just to see what we get out of it. But wow, this feels so much better on my skin. Blends in really easy. Has a really pretty, soft, radiant finish. Has a, I mean, to me, this has more of a high-end finish to it. This looks more like a high-end foundation. You know, feels more like my speed, like more of an Armani luminous silk type finish. I could keep applying this all day because it feels so much better on my skin. It's not clinging to any dryness on my skin. Like I said, it's definitely a buildable coverage. I can build it up if I want. I've just done my second layer. Blends in nice. I feel like this would be good for all ages, unless you're severely oily, like have like incredibly oily skin that you're trying to combat, then you'd want to stay away from this one. But if you have normal or combination skin, or especially if you have dry or more mature skin, this would be for sure worth checking out because this looks really pretty. And the color's nice. Finally, there's like a slightly more neutral foundation in this mix. Like I would actually wear this. I think I'm going to keep this out. I'm going to definitely continue to wear this one. If I have more thoughts later on, I'll keep you posted. But first impression is this is beautiful. Wow. Really impressed with this. Really, really impressed. And what's this again? $10? I mean, average, like let's just say roughly $10. I think that is an incredible deal. So that again is the Revlon Age Defying foundation with SPF 20. Okay, this next one is in roughly the $11 range. I'm excited for this. This is the only foundation that I picked up from the drugstore that comes in an actual box. So I don't know, I'm just excited for that. I'm excited to see what it looks like inside the box because I can't tell. But it's the Maybelline New York Perfector 4-in-1 Instant Age Rewind Whipped Matte Makeup. Now this says it has primer plus powder plus concealer plus BB cream. What? Base corrector. There's just too many claims on this, so I'm really, really curious what the heck this is going to look like on. I have the shade 02 Light Medium. The shade range in this was terrible, so let's test it out. Let me just read these benefits one more time. So it has benefits in the back of the box. The benefits of 4 products in one step. So like it says, primer, corrector, powder, concealer, BB cream, all in one. So this is the actual tube. I like the tube of it. I'm curious that it says whipped. So I wonder if it's gonna be anything like my Dream Matte Mousse. I'm just gonna squeeze some on the top of my hand. Doesn't smell like anything. I'm gonna apply this with my fingertip. This just feels, oh wow. This is like cream cheese. Oh no. See, this is like, oh, this is awful. This is just, why would anybody make this? Who is this again? Maybelline doesn't have terrible products. They are just feeding off of misinforming people and claiming to be every single thing imaginable. So of course, like if I was a consumer, I'd pick it up and think, wow, well this says it has everything I need. Powder, BB cream, corrector, concealer, primer, all in one. If it seems too good to be true, it's too good to be true. This feels terrible on my skin. It's unbelievably streaky. Let me just try to give it like a good, I don't really want to dirty up a brush for this, but I will. So hold on, let me grab a brush and let's just see if we can manipulate this in a better way. Let me grab my e.l.f. complexion brush. I mean, I guess it's a little bit like slightly better with the brush, but you're still like every time you blend it away and you leave a streak. It doesn't stick to your skin. It just kind of floats on top in a really weird primery kind of way. The finish is just dull. I'd imagine if you have dry skin or if you have any skin texture, this would cling to it like no other and just look horrible. No, this is just weird. It's just totally weird. It's just trying to be way too many things and completely It's like over promising to the max and then way, way, way under delivering to the max. I think this is just, stay away from this one. Don't get fooled by the packaging. If you think it's too good to be true, it's too good to be true. This looks absolutely terrible. I would never, ever recommend this, even if it was like the last option of foundation in the drugstore. This is just, yeah, see, it rubs right off. Like it literally rubs right off your skin. And it's supposed to have like powder in it and all those things. No, that's just terrible. My skin looks blotchy with it. Whew. All right, can't wait to take this off. This is the Maybelline Perfector 4-in-1 Whipped Matte Makeup. Okay, we're gonna take it up to the $12 range. This is what I paid for it. I paid like $12, it's like $12.50 or $12.75. Something along that. It was like $12 and change, but it's the Covergirl Outlast Extreme Wear Light Airbrush Finish. It claims to be a 24-hour wear. Don't ever wear your makeup for 24 hours. Just please don't. It's transfer resistant, SPF 18. What's the point? And the shade that I picked up is 845 Warm Beige. Let's hope this isn't just the worst match for me. Let me open this up. Oh, nice. It has a pump. That's a pleasant surprise. I thought for sure this was going to be like a pour out. So it's got a pump. That's a nice sign. I like that. I'm just going to squeeze some out on my palette again. And let's apply this one with a BK Beauty 106. So this has a strong drugstore foundation fragrance. You know, that typical like kind of chemical-y cleaning supply, cleaning agent smell that a lot of drugstore makeup products have to it. This has that classic smell. Feels nice on my skin. Blend is pretty easy. It's not streaky, which is nice. I appreciate that. What kind of finish is this supposed to have? Light airbrush finish. Okay. I wouldn't argue that it's not a light airbrush finish. I think it actually does have a nice, has like a soft focus airbrush quality to it. No, it's not like a great airbrush finish to it, but it does have like a slight hint of that kind of quality to it. Definitely a full coverage. I'd say it's probably like medium to full coverage, buildable. The shade is pretty good. The shade is actually great, to be honest. It's blending in nice. It's not clinging to any dryness on my cheek. It's not enhancing my pores. It's laying really nice and smooth. It has a nice soft satin finish to it too, which is really nice. It's not super matte by any means, and it's not overly glowy. I think this would be a really good option for any kind of skin type. So normal to dry, oily combo. As long as you're looking for more of a medium to full coverage foundation, this could be a really good option for you. I think this is really pretty. And if you don't mind the slight scent of, you know, drugstore cleaning supplies, that's what it smells like to me, then I think this is a really nice option. I can't imagine ever trying to wear this for more than a workday, like a 10-hour, 12-hour workday. So 24-hour, just, you know, take what you will from that, but just know that it's probably going to be a longer wearing formula, which is nice for, you know, people that are out there working all day and that don't want to touch up their makeup. It's about $12, which I think is a really great deal. I typically like CoverGirl products, and I think this is a really good option to check out. So once again, it's the CoverGirl Outlast Extreme Wear Light Airbrush Finish Foundation. Next up is another one in the $12 price range. This one is from Milani. I've actually heard good things about this one. I've never tried it, so I'm very excited for this. It's the Milani Conceal and Perfect 2-in-1 Foundation and Concealer. I picked up the shade Golden Beige, so let's try it out. So this says in the back, it's a medium to full coverage, lightweight, oil-free formula, long wear, water resistant. I love that they put those like actual notes about the foundation in the back. I think that's just really helpful. Let me shake it a little bit. Love that it has a pump. Pumps are just always so convenient. No one wants to pour a messy liquid foundation out onto anything. Let's grab that e.l.f. Duo Complexion brush. It has a slight fragrance to it. You know, again, it smells like a drugstore foundation. Okay, this is pretty. Color is nice. Glides on really nice on my skin. Really blends easy. Finish is really pretty. I really like that finish. I can tell it's buildable for sure. First swipe of it is definitely a medium coverage. Okay, it blends good. It doesn't blend great. You have to work with this one a little bit more. Like you have to like kind of work it into your skin. But really pretty finish. Is not enhancing any texture. It's not enhancing my pores on my cheek. It's just a nice, pretty, slightly luminous satin finish. The finish is really pretty. I really like this finish. I think this finish looks a little more high-end. It feels nice on my skin. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's really pretty. I'm really pleasantly surprised by this. I think this is a beautiful foundation. So roughly $12. Great deal. Love that it has a pump. Love that it gives you all the claims of what it does in the back. The shade is really nice. It's nice to like find a good more neutral but warm tone foundation that's not overly yellow or way overly warm and golden. This is a really pretty one. I think this is a good option. Totally worth checking out. Would I think of this as like a concealer? No, but let me just add a little more on top of my, yes, I mean, you can build it up, but that's with any foundation. Typically you can build up a foundation. It's rare that you get a foundation that you can't layer and build up to be, you know, build up layers for more coverage. But this is pretty. I think this is definitely worth checking out. That is the Milani Conceal and Perfect 2-in-1 Foundation and Concealer. Okay, next up is from Almay. It's the Almay TLC Truly, okay, so it's Almay Truly Lasting Color, abbreviated, it's TLC foundation. It's a 16-hour makeup. That's all it says about it. In the back it says helps to nourish and protect skin for 16 hours. Looks freshly applied all day. I like that. That sounds cute. That's about it for like what it says it does. I picked up the shade 220 Neutral. The shade range in Almay is absolutely terrible. Just terrible, terrible. So stay away from it. If you're at all deeper than my complexion, just stay away from Almay because it's just, you're gonna be very disappointed. I'm gonna put this one on with my fingertips and let's test it out. It definitely has a paint smell to it. It smells like wet paint. Feels nice though. Again, didn't want to like this one at all because of the shade range is so terrible. But, you know, I'm going to be very honest and give you a really honest review. This is really pretty. I mean, if you can get over the wet paint scent it has. Like, it smells like paint and paint primer. It smells like Home Depot, basically. But the finish is beautiful. The finish is really pretty. Blends on really nice. It almost has a creamy feeling to it, which is hard to probably tell on camera. Feels really nice. Blend it in really nice with my fingertips, which is, you know, to me, I feel like nothing really blends on great with your fingertips in my personal opinion. It's not my preferred way to apply any foundation, as you probably already know. But this went on really nice. It's for sure buildable. I just built up a lot more coverage. It's not picking up on any dryness in my cheek. It's not enhancing any pores. It has a beautiful finish, like very, very beautiful finish. It feels really nice on my skin. It feels really, really nice. Wow, I did not expect to like this as much as I do, but I really like this foundation. It looks, I gotta hand it to it. It looks really pretty. I just gotta be honest. Shade range is horrible, absolutely appalling, but the finish of it is really pretty. The color works really well for me. I really lucked out with the shade on this one. I really, really lucked out. But I really like it. It's the Almay Truly Lasting Color 16-hour makeup foundation. Okay, moving on to another one that's in the $12 roughly price range. I paid about $12 for this one. It's the Neutrogena Skin Clearing Oil-Free Makeup. It has something called Micro Clear technology. It's a blemish treatment with salicylic acid. I guess the timing on this when I'm trying this one is actually perfect because I do have a big old pimple on my cheek. I would never look to my makeup personally, okay? Personally, I would never look to my makeup to solve any like skin issues. I would look to my skincare first, and then whatever I put on top, I would be very careful of as well. But I wouldn't look to the drugstore if I'm looking to clear my skin. Just putting that out there. Anyway, I picked up the shade Natural Beige, number 60 Natural Beige. I'm gonna shake this because this is more of a liquid, like a true liquidy formula. This does not have a pump, so I'm actually just gonna dip into the top of it and get a good amount. This also smells like wet paint. I remember when this came out and I was like mid-teenager. I was like 14, 15, 16. And I remember seeing this at the drugstore and being curious about it because at that time I was getting pimples. I was a teenager, so I was getting pimples on my cheeks. I never picked this one up. I still opted for my Dream Matte Mousse from Maybelline and I liked it a lot more. But I remember seeing this and thinking, is it gonna actually like get rid of my pimples? And questioning it back then, I don't know. I just wouldn't, like I said, I would never count on my makeup to get rid of my pimples. I would count on my skincare to do that. And a dermatologist. So the finish is just kind of streaky. It's dull. It's a lot more matte than I expected it to be. Color is just whatever. We're not gonna talk about the color, but the finish of it is just streaky. It just looks kind of streaky and it's a little more difficult to blend and get a smooth finish. Granted, I know I'm putting it with my fingertips, but I can just generally tell what it's like to blend on. Let's see if I can build up the coverage a teeny bit more. Not really. It just kind of blends itself off in a way. I would not recommend this one. I just would not. I think no. This one is a hard no for me. Like I said, you know, I don't like the fact that it says it's got skin clearing ingredients in it. Don't rely on your makeup to treat your skin. Rely on your skincare to treat your skin. And then whatever you put on top is going to be a bonus. But keep them separate, in my opinion. This is just my opinion. But yeah, for that reason, I'm totally out on this. I'm not a fan of this one at all. It's the Neutrogena Skin Clearing Oil-Free Makeup with Micro Clear Technology. So this next one is also $12, and full disclosure, I bought this a couple months ago outside of this video, and I've been testing it out, and I've worn it a couple times. I did wear this in one of my drugstore makeup videos, so you can check that video out as well. So I do like it. Spoiler alert, I do enjoy it. I think it's a decent product, especially for the drugstore. It's not a favorite of mine by any means, but I do think it's worth checking out. But let me get into it again. Let me show you what it looks like on, how it blends, and all those things. The shade that I have is number 20 Light. These do run much darker than you would think. So this light one is actually a little too dark for me. I'm gonna apply this one with a BK Beauty 109. So you can see too, it's very like wet and balmy, very hydrating, goes on really easy, feels nice. I don't remember if this one has a scent. Yeah, this one doesn't smell like anything, which is, you know, nice for a drugstore. It is a very like nice feeling on my skin. It feels very like rich and hydrating, and it does have like a nourishing feeling to it, which I really like, especially after all the matte foundations I've just tried out. This feels amazing. The color is not horrible, but for claiming to be a light foundation, I think that you'll be wanting to go down 1 to 2 shades minimum. Like, so if whatever you think you are based on like what the description is of the shade, go much lighter because it does run a little bit darker. It's a nice neutral undertone, which I do also appreciate. Blends in easy, feels pretty much like nothing on my skin. Like I said, I've already tested this out. I've already been a fan of this product. It's not one of my all-time favorite formulas out there, but I do enjoy it a lot. Doesn't cling to any texture, doesn't cling to any dry patches. I wouldn't say this is good for oily skin by any means. Like, definitely don't try this if you have like young and more acne prone oily skin. I would say stay away from it. But if you're anything other than that, it's definitely worth checking out, especially if you have more dry, more mature skin. I think this is a really pretty drugstore formula, and I just like how easy it is to apply. Like, you could definitely apply this with your fingertips. I prefer a brush with this product personally, but it's pretty. It feels nice. It has like a radiant, very hydrated, glowy finish to it. So if you are more like leaning on the oily side, like if you're normal to slight leaning oily, you definitely want to powder it. I powder it personally because I like it to stay put and just look more of a satin finish and not so glowy. But that aside, I think it's a really nice formula. Definitely worth checking out. This is the L'Oreal Age Perfect 4-in-1 Tinted Balm. This next one is about roughly $13. It's from Physicians Formula. I'm actually excited to try this because my friend Sonia, who's also a content creator on Instagram, she was telling me that I have to try this one. So she was like, you have to try the Physicians Formula. It's a really good one. She loves it. So Sonia, I hope this does not disappoint me. So I picked up the shade Medium to Tan. It literally says Medium to Tan. It's the Butter Believe It Foundation Plus Concealer. It's for all skin types. That's it. That's all it says. Cute little tropical packaging. Shade range at Physicians Formula is absolutely awful. But I'm going to shake it. I love that it has a pump. That's always such a plus. So I'm going to pump some out on the top of my hand, and I'm going to apply this one with my fingertips. It feels like the right formula to apply with your fingertips. Oh, okay. Okay, so this is not going to be for everyone. To me, it smells like coconuts, and I love coconut. I'm a coconut fan. Mitch says I'm a coconut freak. I love anything coconut. I would like bathe in coconut if I could. So if you don't like coconut, you are not going to like the way this smells. But I have to say, Sonia is onto something because this looks really pretty. Definitely a lot more coverage than I expected it to be for some reason. I don't know why I was expecting it to be more of a natural coverage. I don't know why. It doesn't say whether it's a medium. Oh wait, I'm sorry, it actually does. It says it's a ultra luxurious foundation plus concealer infused with a powerful blend of marumuru butter, kapakai. Go gentle on me with these. Kapakai butter. And I also need my glasses too, just to fully let you know. I'm like having a hard time reading this. And Tukuma butter from the lush, nutrient-rich Amazon. Okay. Incredibly creamy texture, melts into skin, leaving a natural, radiant, glowy complexion. Long-wearing, weightless formula provides buildable medium to full coverage. Okay, so it is a medium to buildable. I have to say, the shade is terrible on me. It's not my shade. But first of all, I look like I have like plastic skin. It looks like, but in a good way, not in like a bad way. I feel like I look like I have like freshly melted on plastic skin. It's hard to explain. It is making my skin feel very tight. Like my cheek feels very tight from this. I'm really enjoying the scent. I can smell it as it's on my face right now. I think it smells tropical, like a coconutty pina colada on vacation mixed with like coconut sunscreen. Like I love the way it smells so much. It makes me really happy. The finish is beautiful. I think that if you have more dry skin, you're going to definitely want to make sure you're properly prepping your skin with all your things like your serums and your moisturizer and your SPF like before you put this on. It dried down so quick. I feel like this would be very long wearing. But overall, how much is this? $13. So terrible shade range aside, I do think if you're looking for a medium to full coverage, and I think that anyone could wear this personally. I think, like I said, if you have dry skin, I think you could still wear this if it still feels comfortable, just in like a slightly tight way. Just make sure you're prepping your skin with all your things that work well for your skin. But I think anyone could wear this. And if they're looking for a full coverage, I'd say check it out. It has a nice finish. It really does. It's not clinging. It's not enhanced anything. It dried down in 2 seconds, so it's very much like a self-setting foundation. But yeah, I'm pleasantly surprised. The Physicians Formula Butter Believe It Foundation Plus Concealer. We're going back to Almay. Almay has another foundation. It's the Skin Perfecting Healthy Biome Makeup with Prebiotic Complex. Why do you need prebiotics or probiotics or any kind of biotic in your foundation is my concern. Is my question. Like, that's something that you ingest. I don't understand why that would be a selling point for a foundation. It just doesn't make any sense to me. If it makes sense to you and you could help me figure this out, please leave me a comment and let me know what your thoughts are on that. But anyway, it's supposed to nourish, perfect, protect. It has broad spectrum SPF 25, hypoallergenic, fragrance free, and it's the shade 130 medium. So let's test it out. Did I mention this was $13? In case I didn't, it's $13. It's a squeeze tube. I'm going to squeeze it on the top of my hand. Doesn't smell like anything. I mean, it's not supposed to anyway. It's fragrance free, but you know, that doesn't always mean anything. So I'm going to swipe this on with my finger and test it out. Color is nice. Color is like a nice neutral. Okay. It doesn't claim to have any undertone, so that's nice. For not claiming to have an undertone, like usually it's like medium warm, medium cool, medium neutral. This one just says 130 medium. And so what you would expect from that is a neutral that could be color adjusting and has like more stretch to it, like meaning it could stretch to working with a warm undertone, it could stretch to working with a neutral, a cool, you know what I mean? So they did do a good job of the undertone for sure. Blends on very nice. Very, very nice. Looks really smooth and healthy. I think that's like the biggest thing I'm seeing is it looks like I just have like healthy, even skin. I feel like you could build it up a touch, not too much, because it's not something that's like self-setting. Actually, it does. I mean, it has set down a little bit. The finish is just beautiful. I really like this finish. I really like the amount of coverage you get just with that initial application of it before I even built it up. I think it's a really nice amount of coverage. It just feels really comfortable and very healthy looking, but has just like an overall like nice feeling to it. I don't feel like I have an uncomfortable, you know, inexpensive, like bad formula product on my skin that's gonna ruin it. I feel like I have like a nice high quality formula on my face. So it's very, feels very much like a high-end foundation. I'm very pleasantly surprised with this. I think this is really nice. Their shade range is not great with this at all, but that's to be expected with Almay at this point. So that aside, you know, you're gonna have a hard time finding your shade. If you're much deeper than me, you're gonna have a hard time finding your shade. So just keep that in mind. But formula wise and the way it looks on my skin, I think it's really pretty. It's a really, really pretty formula. It looks like skin. It looks like healthy skin. So I'm very shocked at how much I like this. And I'm shocked at how much I like the other Almay. Like really shocked. Even Mitch is like shaking his head like it looks really good. It looks really pretty and it feels really nice. I don't think this would be a good option for someone who has really oily skin. But if you have combination oily skin and anything after that, normal, combination dry and oily or dry skin, I think this is going to be a really good option worth checking out. So that is the Almay Skin Perfecting Healthy Biome Makeup. Okay, on to NYX. This is the NYX Blur, or it's a Bear With Me Blur foundation. I've actually wanted to try this for a really long time, so Very excited to finally have this. And I picked up the shade light medium, and let's check this out. So it's $14 roughly. I wasn't able to find this at most of the drugstores. I actually had to pick this one up at Ulta. And I don't really consider Ulta, I know they have drugstore foundations, but I don't consider them like the place to go buy drugstore makeup. That's not, you know, they're more of like a Sephora type place, obviously. But I had to pick it up there because it was sold out everywhere else. Like, I could not get this foundation. So it's supposed to blur your skin, and I've heard really good things about this, so I'm very, very excited to try this. I'm gonna put some on the top of my hand. I love a squeeze out applicator, like, or packaging like this. I love. It's so convenient. It's so easy to travel with. You throw it in your bag. It's not gonna come open and be messy and drip. At least I don't think it will. So I love it for that. I'm gonna put this on with a drugstore foundation brush, and let's get this on. It feels very lightweight, even for being more of a matte finish, even though it doesn't say it's supposed to be a matte finish, does it? No, it just says it's a blurring tint foundation. Yeah, maybe it's more of a satin. Yeah, this is more of a satin finish. It's definitely blurring for sure. My skin looks very airbrushed and very like, just, it feels like, I want to say it feels fluffy. It looks like it's like fluffy and just, it's like whipped cream cheese. That's what it feels like on my skin. Blends in super easy. It's not streaky. It's not clingy to my dryness on my cheek. It's definitely blurring my skin for sure. Easy to work with. I feel like this would be long wearing. I think this would be good for anyone, to be honest. I think as long as you prep your skin the way you know your skin should be prepped. So, you know, if you have really, really dry skin and you want to wear something like this, I think you definitely can, as long as you have like the proper amount of hydration underneath. I think it's gonna be a really nice finish. So I think with that said, it could work for anyone, any skin type. Decent coverage for sure. For being like more, it's claiming to be more of a tint, it still has a really beautiful amount of coverage. I think this is a solid drugstore foundation. I really do. I think this is very, very nice. So if you're looking for more of a satin finish that's smoothing and blurring, this is really pretty. I'm definitely going to keep wearing this one for sure. I can't wait to keep wearing this one. So that again is the NYX Bear With Me Blur Foundation. Next up is the classic L'Oreal Tru Match Foundation. It's the super blendable foundation. I have the shade W4 Warm Light Medium. Now, L'Oreal, their Tru Match collection is so superior. Like, think of them as like the Fenty Beauty for shade range. They have the most, by far, I mean, nobody even holds a candle to their shade range. L'Oreal Tru Match is like, they pretty much pioneered broad range of different skin tones and different shades to choose from and different undertones specifically available in the drugstore. So I gotta hand it to them. They really have always done a great job with their shade range, and they have a ton to choose from. So I would say if you are having a hard time finding your shade, you should only look to L'Oreal Tru Match. Just putting it out there. So with that all said, I haven't tried this formula in years, like years and years and years. I love that they now have a pump. This used to have like a twist off like silver cap. So I love that they added a pump that's so much more convenient. So without further ado, let's try it on. I'm gonna pump this on the top of my hand. I don't wanna use my fingers with this one. I wanna use this as like a solid, good foundation. So I'm gonna dip in with a 106 from BK Beauty. Yeah, see, this is a nice foundation. Nice natural coverage that you could build up. I mean, it looks more natural on your skin. It's not like a natural amount of coverage, I should say. I should clarify. It looks just natural on your skin. Definitely going to be a buildable formula. It feels like nothing on my skin. It feels incredibly lightweight. You know, it feels like one of my high ends, honestly. It feels very much like my Dior Backstage Face and Body. I'll be totally honest with you. Looks very pretty. It is a little bit on the streaky side when you're trying to layer it, so just something to note. But it's not clinging to any of my dryness. It's not enhancing my pores. It's also not smoothing it. So I will say that. It doesn't have like that smoothing, blurring quality to it. More of like a good, straightforward liquid foundation. I'm gonna put some on my chin, which I have quite a bit of irritation on my chin right now, but it feels nice. It feels like a really beautiful foundation. I love this foundation. This is a really great formula. To me, this checks all the boxes. It really does. There's no fragrance. Is there fragrance? It doesn't smell like anything to me, unless my senses are off after smelling all these foundations. No, it doesn't smell like anything. Again, it feels very lightweight. It's a great undertone, great color match. Super happy with this one that I picked out. Very, very happy. Blends into my neck, looks beautiful. I mean, I can go on and on. I feel like this is gonna be a good choice for anyone. Oily, combo, dry, young, mature, you name it. I think this is gonna be a great fit for anyone. I'd say this is probably going to be, this is going to end up being one of the top ranked foundations that I try. I can't imagine anything coming up that's going to be better than this, but we'll see. We're only halfway done, to be honest. Just to warn you, we're only halfway through all these foundations. But this is a great drugstore foundation that I highly recommend you check out, especially for the shade range alone. L'Oreal, just no one beats it. Nobody beats them. So again, this is the L'Oreal Tru Match Super Blendable Foundation in the shade W4. Okay, this next one is also $14, and just letting you know, I did not pick this up for this video. I've had this in my possession for a while now. I'm a big fan of it. I love this product so much. I believe it's a complete dupe, like an exact dupe for the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter Foundation that is extremely pricey, but I still love it so much. I still use it professionally in my kit pretty much daily at this point. But I've loved this one for myself so much. It's beautiful on. Now again, just to throw it out there, this is not one that I would have picked up for this video because it is not technically marketed as a foundation. But because I have this in my possession already, I just thought I would put it in there. So forgive me, but if I didn't have this already, I would not have been purchasing it for this video because it's not claiming to be an actual foundation. It's more of a glowy, luminous type product. So with that said, let's still try it out. 14 bucks, e.l.f. Halo Glow Liquid Filter Glow Boosting for Radiant Skin. I have the shade number 4. Just like the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter, this has a doe foot applicator, like a big one. So I like to just go swipe it on and buff it in. Now I'm going to buff it in with a 107 from BK Beauty. The way this goes on and the luminosity, like the beautiful, oh, it's just so stunning. I just love this foundation. And it's not even a foundation. This is not a foundation. So again, you know, this is like a little bonus that we threw in here, but this is not a foundation, but you absolutely could wear it as a foundation on its own. The way I like to wear it is either underneath my makeup, mixed into my foundation, or just on its own with a little bit of concealer under my eyes and just to like spot conceal any areas that I want some coverage. But on its own, it's beautiful. Another great way to wear it is just to use it as like a luminous primer underneath your makeup. Put this on all over and then put your foundation on top. You'll end up using a lot less foundation because this is already going to give you a good amount of coverage like prior to your foundation, if that makes sense. So it's a beautiful product. I'm just going to put a little bit more on just to show you how gorgeous it is because you can layer it, you can build it up a touch. Even for oily skin, like having more like normal to oily skin, I still love the way this looks on my skin. It makes me very glowy, but I love it. There's just something about it that just looks beautiful. It does have a skin smoothing quality to it, and the luminosity you get is stunning. It's like a drink of water for your skin. It's just beautiful. I highly recommend it. I know it's not technically a foundation, but I just had to throw it in there. You know I already love it, so there's no surprise there. But yeah, I love this one. I highly recommend you check it out if you haven't already, or if you're a fan of the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter. This is absolutely worth every dollar. For 14 bucks, it is worth every single dollar. It's such a good deal. So again, e.l.f. Halo Glow Liquid Filter. Next one is from Maybelline. It's the Superstay Active Wear up to 30-hour foundation. I'm not going to get into it again. Like you know how I feel about these crazy claims about how long you can wear a foundation. You can wear anything on your face for as many hours as you want, but should you? No. Definitely not. Like I could wear any of these foundations on my face for 50 hours, but it doesn't mean you should claim it, you know? Like why would you want to claim that? Anyway, that aside, we're not gonna get into it. This is about $14. That's what I paid for it. It's the shade 127 Sand Beige. So let's test this one out. I'm gonna shake it a little bit. Love that it has a pump. Pump it out. And I think I'm gonna apply this one with my fingertip. Switch it up. This is gonna be really light on me, even though it says it's a sand beige. This is so not a sand beige. This is purely yellow and warm. This is not by any stretch of the imagination a sandy beige. Like how is that a sandy beige? I think they need to mix it up with the people that are naming their shades at, is this Maybelline? At Maybelline. Okay, so I can see how they're claiming it to be a Longwear because it's drying down on my skin almost instantly. You see that? I could barely stretch it to get it to blend because it's drying down right away. This must have a lot of like micro powders in it and drying things, like things that dry down a lot. It's definitely a full coverage. You know, aside from not loving the shade and not loving the way it dries down so quick, I will say the finish is pretty nice. For being super full coverage, And it doesn't quite, does it say it's a full coverage? So on the back it says up to 30-hour wear, full coverage. Okay, so it does say full coverage. Light as air feel, transfer resistant, seamless matte finish, oil free, and that's about it. I could see how it's probably transfer resistant, but yeah, it's very intense. It's very intense. You know, not my personal preference for a foundation. This is very, like, very, very heavy. Feels like I have like a matte mask on my skin. Just because it's not for me doesn't mean it's not going to be for anyone else. So if you are looking for like a really, really matte full coverage foundation that's probably going to be, you know, pretty long wear, and I can see this not budging on your skin. I can definitely see this not being something that slips and moves around or gets shiny throughout the day. I don't like the feeling of it at all, but it does give my skin like a very flawless finish. Of course, because it is full coverage, it's going to cover up anything, any like little tiny dot that you could possibly have on your face. It's going to cover it up because it's a full coverage. So if you're looking for something like that, I could see there being, you know, it'd be worthwhile to check out. I'm just not a big fan of this one. I didn't like the way it dried down so instantly on my skin. I think even if you're looking for a full coverage foundation, like a full coverage matte foundation, the fact that it dries down so quick, I just feel like it's not user friendly. It's not going to be an easy foundation to blend on your skin. You're going to have to like work really, really quick to get it on and get it even before it's completely dried down. So for that reason, I don't recommend this one. I don't think this is like a great one to check out. Out of all the ones I've tried, I don't think this is it. So once again, this is the Maybelline Superstay Activewear Foundation. I'm very excited for this next one. This is the L'Oreal Visible Lift Serum Absolute Advanced Makeup Medium Coverage, has vitamin C. It's a broad spectrum SPF 17. Oh my gosh, what is the point of 17, 18? What's the point? I just don't, if you could tell me what the point of that is, I would love to know. So luminous makeup result, it says up top. There's a lot of different claims going on in this foundation. I picked up the shade 154 Sun Beige. The beiges looked like the most promising tones out of all the ones I saw at the drugstore. So there's a lot of beiges going on in here. So let's try it out. It has a pump, which I love. This is $15. That's actually what I paid for it. Again, the prices vary quite a bit, so keep that in mind from store to store. So I'm going to put this out on my hand and apply it with my fingertips. It has that typical drugstore foundation fragrance to it. I think moral of the story for this video is no beige is alike. There is not one single beige in the drugstore color range that is alike. You know, they're all like, the people's different ideas of what beige is amongst the drugstore brands is hugely varying. Just like the prices between different locations that you shop these foundations at. Shade aside, this looks nice. This feels nice. This feels like nothing on my skin. It's offering a medium coverage. I'm assuming you could build it, so let's build it up a little bit. Blends in really easy. And it's not going on streaky, which is surprising because I am blending this on with my fingertips. It's going on very even. Very smooth. It's not clinging to any dryness. Definitely not enhancing any pores on my cheek. Has a nice satin but slightly luminous finish to it, which I like. Again, feels really comfortable on my skin. I like this. This is definitely going to be up there in the favorites for sure. I think this is really pretty. This was easy to use. I think that anyone could use it, honestly. I think even if you have really oily skin, I think you could definitely use this. Mature skin, obviously, it's going to benefit from the finish. It looks really nice and healthy and glowy. But I like this. I think this is a solid effort for drugstore. So L'Oreal Visible Lift Serum Absolute Foundation. Definitely worth checking out. Okay, I have another one from Almay. This is the Almay Matte. It's $15. It's the Almay Skin Perfecting Comfort Matte Foundation. I picked up the shade 220 Warm Cashew. It's supposed to be hypoallergenic. It's fragrance free. It's claiming to be an all-day wear, oil-free, for all skin types. So let's check this one out. I'm gonna shake it. Again, goes without saying, Almay has a horrible shade range, so just know that this has a terrible shade range to choose from. I'm gonna take what's left in the cap. There's a ton of product in this cap, and I'm gonna squeeze my clean 108 from BK Beauty, and let's test this out. Oh boy. Definitely didn't get a good shade match for myself. Doesn't smell like anything, just like it says. I don't see this being a matte, that's for sure. Skin Perfecting Comfort Matte. It's on the streaky side. I'm not getting an even amount of coverage. What's the coverage supposed to be? Skin Perfecting. Lightweight feel, buildable coverage. Okay, so it's not really saying whether or not it's medium to full initially. It just says it's a buildable coverage. I can see it being a buildable coverage for sure. Yeah, you can definitely build it up. You know, the finish isn't bad. It's definitely not matte though. Like when you take into consideration the formulas that I've tried prior to this that claim to be matte were matte. So this is more of like a satin to matte finish. It's not like a true matte finish. The more I blend it though, it picks it up a little bit. It's not like the most even amount of coverage. It's definitely more on the streaky side, and that's saying a lot because I did put this on with a blending brush, like a really great blending brush, and it's still looking a little streaky. I'm not a fan of this. I'm definitely not a fan of this. I think it's a little too difficult to work with. And if you're actually someone who's going out and setting out to get a matte foundation, you're going to be very disappointed in this because it's not a true matte foundation. This has quite a bit of satin luminosity to it. So I would completely skip this if you're looking for a matte foundation from the drugstore. It's the Almay Skin Perfecting Comfort Matte Foundation. Okay, this next one is the last bonus one that I threw in. And the reason why it's a bonus one is because it's not marketed as a actual foundation. However, I already had it in my possession. I love this foundation. I talk about it all the time, and I just call it a foundation even though it says it's a tinted serum. So it's marketed as a tinted serum, so if I hadn't already had this, I wouldn't have picked it up for this haul because it's not marketed as a actual foundation. So with that all said, let me show you why this is magical and why I love it and why I've already used up quite a bit of this new one that I already gone through an entire tube, just FYI. I've already gone through a whole one and I repurchased it because I love it that much. I wear the shade 4.5 to 5.5 Rich Medium. It works perfectly on me. It's very neutral. This is a hyaluronic tinted serum. It has 1% pure hyaluronic acid in it. But you know what, that aside, it just has a beautiful finish. It looks beautiful on. This has a dropper to it, so I like to just drop a little bit on the top of my hand, and I think I'm gonna put this on with my fingertips. The way this feels on your skin is just beautiful. It feels and looks beautiful. I'd say, even though, again, it's not marketed as an actual foundation, it's marketed as a tinted serum. So think more like a tinted moisturizer as far as your coverage goes. But in my experience, this is extremely buildable. It's extremely long wearing. It feels incredible on your skin. And to me, this looks just like a super high-end foundation. Like a super high-end glowy foundation. This looks like an Armani Luminous Silk. So I've been a fan of this for quite some time now. I'd say going on 2 years. I've been a huge fan of this one. If you are in the market for a glowy, more fresh, luminous type finish with your foundation that's not going to give you a heavy amount of coverage, but that you could still alter and build up, you have got to try this one. It's about $15 depending on where you purchase it. You can even see like the luminosity throughout the bottle and throughout the formula. It's just stunning. It's such a win. I highly recommend this one. I'm a big fan of this formula. So again, L'Oreal Tru Match Nude. It is absolutely worth checking out. Next up is from NYX. It's the Can't Stop, Won't Stop Full Coverage Foundation. It's claiming to be a 24-hour wear. That's great. It's a matte finish. And what shade did I get? Natural? Oh, okay. Oh, sorry. It says it right here. I got the shade Natural. I'm going to shake this because you can tell it's like separated in the bottle. So this is definitely one you would have to shake. I have not heard anything about this one. I love NYX. I love a lot of their products, so I'm excited to try this one out. Hopefully it does not disappoint. Love that it has a pump. Okay, feels very liquidy. I'm going to apply this with a stippling brush. Has a slight scent to it. Color's a little too light for me, but at least it's more neutral, It's going to be more like a stretch shade where like more people can use it, and I imagine it would still work pretty well for their skin. If you're in this shade range, that is. I don't love the blend. The blend is streaky. It kind of like disappears, to be honest. You put it on, it's not a full coverage. This is a medium coverage. Okay, so it is buildable. So it's building up to be more of a full coverage. Yeah, I don't like the way it blends. However, I do like the way it looks on my skin. I think it has a nice finish to it. Like it feels very much like a natural skin-like finish. It doesn't feel very makeup-y, which I really appreciate. Color's actually not that bad. It's actually, it seems to have adjusted into my skin tone pretty well. Other than the fact that it's a streaky application, it's got a streakiness when you're blending it. So it's kind of hard to get it to be a good, even amount of coverage throughout. It's not a full coverage like it says. I guess we'll see how long it's going to wear on my skin if I continue to test it out, that is. I don't know if I'm going to be into this foundation enough to wear it in my day-to-day life. But once it's blended in, which it took me a minute to actually get it to blend in my skin, but once it is blended in, it does look like a nice has a nice finish. Like, it's, like I said, it has a nice skin-like finish. It's definitely still more of a medium coverage. I can still see my skin, my pimple throughout, even with the second coat that I put on. Clinging a little bit to some dryness on my cheeks, so that's not good. I don't think this is the best formula out there, to be honest. I think there's just so many other good ones that are worth checking out over this one. So for that reason, I don't recommend this one. You know, it's just kind of underwhelming. So the NYX Can't Stop, Won't Stop Full Coverage Foundation, I say skip it. Next up is from Revlon. It's the Colorstay Full Cover Foundation. It's a matte finish. I have the shade 240 medium beige. It's supposed to be a 24-hour wear. Oh my god, like I can't with the 24-hour claims and all that. What's next? Week-long, like, you know, month-long wear? You can only keep going up with these claims. Anyway, it's supposedly a new packaging, a new look. This is $16. That's at least what I paid for it. So let's test it out. Full coverage foundation. It says it's lightweight, non-cakey, comfort wear. I like a tube. I'm gonna apply this in my hand. You know, I'm gonna apply this with my fingertips. Let's blend this on and see how it goes on. Oh wow. This is definitely not cakey, like it says. I like that it claimed that and that it actually delivered. Wow. This is really pretty. Matte. Yep, definitely matte. I'd say it's, yeah, it's definitely a full coverage. For sure, full coverage. But it's not clinging to like my dryness on my cheek, which is a big deal if you're working with a matte formula foundation. The last thing you want is for it to cling to any dry patches that you might have on your skin. I'd still say go in obviously with some good proper skin prep, just like with all these foundations. I think it goes without saying, but with the matte ones especially, it's important to properly hydrate your skin and prep it so the finish of that matte full coverage foundation doesn't look cakey and doesn't cling to dry patches in your skin. So with that all said, I feel like my skin looks airbrushed. It blended on very quickly, very easy, minimal effort, has a really pretty finish. If you're looking for a matte foundation that is easy to work with and just gives you a really flawless finish to your skin, this is for sure worth checking out. Beautiful. That is really, really pretty. I'm shocked at how much I like this foundation. I think this is a really good effort from Revlon. Really, really nice. So definitely recommend that. That's the Colorstay Full Coverage Foundation from Revlon. Next up is the Maybelline Dream Radiant Liquid Hydrating Foundation. I picked up the shade 75 Natural Beige. This has hyaluronic acid in it and collagen. So it's claiming to have hyaluronic acid and collagen. In the back, it says it gives up to a 12-hour of continuous hydration, visibly improves the look of skin, medium coverage with radiant finish, doesn't clog pores, dermatologist tested. Now 12-hour, that's a normal claim. That's how long you'd actually in real life wear your makeup for. I mean, there's always exceptions, and I know there's plenty of people that work double shifts and work sometimes 24 hours, and I get that. But typically speaking, you really want to keep your makeup on for more than 12 hours. That's just, you know, that's not going to be great for your skin. And you want to be kind to your skin. All that to say, I'm very excited to try this one. This looks really pretty. I'm very, very pumped on this one. Has a pump to it. Speaking of pumps, it has a pump to it, which I'm going to pump onto the top of my hand. Now I feel like putting this one on with my fingertips, I feel like it's going to be a very creamy, dreamy, radiant liquid like it says it's going to be. Doesn't smell like anything, so that's nice. Definitely feels very nice on my skin, feels very comfortable, feels hydrating, feels high-end. It feels like a very high-end foundation. This is beautiful. Wow, really, really like that. And just something to point out, as I continue to test out these foundations, you're gonna notice on camera that my skin is becoming more and more irritated on my chin. So we're just gonna ignore it, and I'm gonna ignore this area of my skin because I don't wanna cause any further irritation that I already have going on. So we're gonna leave my chin out. We're gonna give it a break. It's begging me for a break at this point. So we're gonna focus on the big part of my cheek for the rest of these foundations. So finish-wise is just stunning. I will definitely keep wearing this one. And the color is perfect. Like, the color actually matches me almost perfect. So I'm thrilled with that. I'm going to try to layer it and build it up a little bit on my little pimple I got here on my cheek. Okay, so it's buildable. I blended it onto my skin within seconds. It was super easy. I didn't have to work hard to get a nice finish. I think the coverage that it gives off is beautiful. I think this would be a win for anyone. I can't imagine, even if you have really oily skin, I think if you just powder it down a little bit, it's going to work really well. But for dry, combo, mature, I think this is going to be a really great formula. I think this is a solid solid drugstore foundation. Highly recommend this one. Love the finish, looks high-end, feels amazing on my skin. I think this is a great formula for sure that's worth checking out. Again, it's a Maybelline Dream Radiant Liquid Hydrating Foundation. Okay, this one I paid $16 for. It's an old school formula that I have actually loved for many, many years. I used to recommend this one all the time to anyone looking for a drugstore foundation that was long wearing and more of a matte finish and a full coverage. This is the classic, very, very classic L'Oreal Infallible up to 24-hour wear foundation. It says it's a breathable texture, and I wear the shade, or I used to wear the shade 425, so that's what I just picked up by memory. That's what I used to wear when I used to actually wear this foundation. It does have SPF 25, which is better. You know, it's better than like the 17s and the 13s, the 18s, like the weird the random numbers that we were seeing prior to this one. So 25 is still not enough. So just throwing that out there. Wear your sunscreen underneath your foundation. Does it have any other claims? No, it doesn't. So let's try it out. Love that it has a pump. Me and my MAC friends used to love this foundation. So I'm gonna apply this with a 122 Petite Stippling brush from Zoeva. Smells a bit like cleaning supplies. It's not strong, it's not the worst one out of the ones we've tried. I'm not sure why I chose this brush, to be honest. I don't like streaky brushes like this, but here we are. We're gonna commit to it. So the reason why I liked this foundation when I initially used to use it was I liked the coverage. I actually felt like the coverage wasn't super heavy for being a full coverage. It still looks very like skin-like and very nice. And it worked really well on my oily skin. It worked really, really well. It's very long wearing. I wouldn't wear it for 24 hours, but it's a very long wearing, very beautiful finish foundation. I think this is a great classic formula, and there's a reason why so many people talk about this formula. It just works amazingly well. It's beautiful. It doesn't cling to any dry patches. It doesn't enhance texture. It's very smoothing, and it is a matte finish. However, it's not like a very flat, boring matte finish. It doesn't feel like pancakey, like powdery and like a cakey makeup would, like a cakey matte finish makeup would. This has a very like skin-like quality to it. So that's one of the reasons why I've always liked it. I think it has a beautiful finish for being a full coverage matte, and it's easy to work with. It blends really well into the skin. It's L'Oreal, so you know they're gonna have a lot more shades to choose from, which is always a bonus. And I think it's a great one to pick up. I still highly recommend this one from L'Oreal. I think it's a solid drugstore foundation. If you're looking for a full coverage, more matte finish, this is a go-to of mine for many, many reasons. So again, L'Oreal Infallible 24-hour wear foundation. This next one is a brand I've never tried before. I've always been curious about them. Their name is JOAH. It's a Crystal Glow peptide infused foundation. This one I paid $16 for at CVS. I got it at CVS. So I picked up the shade light to medium with neutral undertones. I love that it says the undertones listed on it. It also says it's a foundation plus primer plus skincare. All-day radiant finish, medium coverage, contains hyaluronic acid, collagen, luminizing peptides, and blue light defense. That's interesting. Kind of like that. So let's test this out. And this one I feel like I'm going to just apply with my fingertip. Okay, so shade is definitely not for me. Doesn't really smell like much of anything. So we're going to, shade aside, we're going to ignore that because this could be a good shade for someone else. It's just I picked out the wrong shade for me, clearly. But there were not many shades to choose from, just so you know. Let me wipe off some of this. This is much more full coverage than I was expecting. And this says it's going to be a what coverage again? It says to be a medium coverage. Okay. I mean, this feels more like a full coverage to me, to be honest. Full, but with a radiant finish. Yeah, this is not a medium. This is like a full coverage. There's no streakiness to it, and that indicates that it is a full coverage. Most full coverage foundations will go on one swipe and give you maximum amount of coverage. That is a full coverage foundation. A lot of the time, if you start to see, streakiness with the application, it could either be the formula is not great, obviously, or it just indicates that it's more of a light to medium coverage because you can see through it. This, I can't see through at all. So this is more of a full coverage. I will say the finish of it is quite nice. It doesn't feel horrible on my skin. It feels very comfortable, even for being more of a full coverage. Yeah, I mean, that has a nice finish. It has a very nice finish. It's not clinging to any texture. It's not enhancing anything that I don't want it to enhance. It's giving me a nice, smooth, healthy finish to my skin. Again, I know the shade is not a good representation. It's hard to kind of get past that. I totally get it. But all in all, I think that's a pretty nice finish. It's pretty nice. I'd still say out of all the ones I've tried prior to this, there's better ones on the market, but I think this is a decent foundation. I don't think I would recommend this one, to be quite honest. There's nothing really special about it, but it's not bad. It's not terrible. It's not the worst I've seen. So once again, this is the JOAH Crystal Glow Peptide Infused Foundation. Okay, we have a brand that we haven't tested out yet in this video, and it's from Flower Beauty. It's the Get Real Serum Foundation. This is medium buildable coverage, natural radiant finish, and that's about all it says. So I'm going to shake this really well because it's a very like liquidy formula. I could tell it just needs a good shake. So I'm going to shake it. And then, love that it has a pump. Pump it on the top of my hand. Oh yeah, okay, whoa. Wow, so this is still very liquidy. I'm gonna apply this with a brush. Let's use a 109 from BK Beauty. I'm just gonna kind of scoop that up. It's very, where is it? Okay, that just sprayed everywhere. What is going on with this? If you could see the disaster that is below me right now, I just sprayed this serum foundation over my notepad, over all 75 million foundations that are in front of me, and I still, like, where is it? Hold on. Let me just pump out some more. Let me just try to do this without spilling it. Here's a good amount. All right, third time's the charm. Okay, so very wet, very watery. I mean, this is like a watered down serum foundation. I know it says it's a serum foundation, so it should be, that indicates it's obviously gonna be very lightweight, very hydrating, but this is like water on my skin. I have to say, it's better now that I actually got some on, but I had to pump this out 3 different times, like 3 whole big, like full on pumps just to get any kind of product on my brush. I'm just not feeling this. This is just streaky and it's just disappearing off my skin. It's leaving my skin just feeling very shiny without coverage. I know there's a little hint of coverage, but it's barely there. It doesn't smell like anything. Yeah, this is just not doing much of anything for me. And I don't think that, you know, even if you're looking for a foundation that's super lightweight, super hydrating, just feels like very liquidy and wet on your skin. Like if you want, like if you have really dry skin, you want something that's going to be super duper hydrating. I still don't think this is a good option because it's not doing anything. It's streaky. It's really sheer. I mean, even like you can build it up, I guess, a little bit. This is not a good formula. I feel like they did not get this right at all. I would definitely skip this. It's just not easy to use. It's not easy to work with. It's super watered down. I feel like you're just not getting enough for your money. At $17, it's definitely pricier out of the drugstore foundations, but in my opinion, I would definitely skip this one from Flower Beauty, the Get Real foundation. It's this one's definitely, I'm gonna pass on this one. Next up is also $17. This is the Sensitive Skin Serum Foundation. Healthy Skin. Pro Vitamin B5 helps maintain skin's moisture barrier for healthy looking skin. Pro Vitamin B5. Okay, we get it. It's from Neutrogena. I think this is a newer formula. I don't think I haven't seen this ever, so I'm excited to try it. Let's test it out. And I picked up the shade Medium 01. So it says on the back it's a sheer, natural, buildable coverage. So that's good. Hopefully it's going to be less watered down than the flower. I feel like this is going to be a similar type formula. They're both claiming to be like a serum foundation. So let me give it a good shake, and I'm going to pump some out on the top of my hand. Oh, big old air bubble. And this one I'm definitely going to apply with my fingertips. I want to just see how it goes on. Oh, it'd be helpful if I took the other foundation off first. You know, once you reach 45 million drugstore foundations, you start to forget what you're doing. So I forgot to take that one off. Oops. Now, let's try this with our fingers. I'm going to swipe it on. Has no fragrance. Feels nice. Feels really nice. Very lightweight, like it says, very sheer, but it's definitely like what Flower Beauty was trying to do, I'm assuming, but failed miserably. Like this feels more like an actual serum foundation, like something that's sheer but buildable. In fact, let's build it up a little bit more and see how it looks. So I'm gonna do one more pump, swipe it on. It feels great. It feels like a drink of water on my skin, which is nice. It feels like I have just skincare on, you know, which after all these foundations that I've tested and taken off my skin, this feels like amazing on. It feels absolutely wonderful. You know, my dogs like to hang out with me constantly. They're basically my shadow, so they go everywhere that I go. So they're below me right now, just so you know, and they're playing and they're trying to steal new makeup that's in a box below me. Okay, so final thoughts. I have about 2 layers of this foundation on. It's definitely sheer but buildable like it says it is. It feels really nice on my skin. It feels really, really hydrating, really comfortable. If you have oily skin, I'd say stay far away from this because it's not going to be your best friend. It's definitely not going to give you a long-lasting result if you have oily skin. But if you have normal to combination to dry skin, I think this would be a really good formula to check out. And how much is it again? $17? So it's $17 where I picked it up. Again, prices fluctuate from store to store, but I think this is nice. I think this is a really nice formula. Yeah, I mean, it's nice. I'm not going to say I'd recommend it because I feel like it's just going to fall off my skin like throughout the day. I feel like it's not going to have longevity at all. Like, it's nice, and I will give it that. It's a very pretty product. It feels really good on my skin. However, based on all the other ones that I tried there's so many other good ones that I've tried that have like a luminous finish that feel really comfortable, that feel really hydrating. So for that reason, and they're also less expensive than this one too. This one's much more up there in price. So with all that taken into consideration, I wouldn't recommend it. That is my final thought on the Neutrogena Serum Foundation. Next is the L'Oreal Age Perfect Radiant Serum Foundation. This has sunscreen in it. Wow. Okay, we're off to a really good start, and I've actually wanted to try this for a while now. It's been on my list, never got around to trying it, never got around to purchasing it. I don't know why, but I'm happy to do it now. This actually has SPF 50. That is incredible. But let me just say this. Although that is great, you'd have to wear a lot of makeup. Like, you'd have to wear a lot of this to get like proper amount of protection with the SPF. However, though, whatever. It still is amazing that they put SPF 50 in it. That's amazing. That, like, they're doing good. Like SPF 15, 17, there's no point. So SPF 50, crushing it. That's amazing. It says it has antioxidants in it plus concentrated serum. I picked up the shade Golden Beige number 50. Does it say anything else about this foundation? No, not really. Let me just peel this really quick to see if there's any more hidden. No, okay. All right. So I don't know what the coverage is going to be like because it doesn't actually say. So we'll find out together. Let's try it out. I love a squeezy tube. I find them super convenient. Oh, that's wonderful. Like, I just love how convenient a squeeze tube is. It's just like, it's so easy. I'm going to apply this with a favorite brush. I'm going to pull out a clean 106 from BK Beauty and let's test this out. Oh, very promising. Can't tell if it has a scent to it. There's like a slight hint of something, but I don't think it's actually fragranced. If there's a difference, you know? Okay, so the way it's blending is a little streaky, but I'm still not mad at it because, for one thing, it feels amazing on my skin. Feels like just hydrating and wonderful and very comfortable and feels like nothing really. It feels extremely lightweight, which I like. It's actually offering a pretty good amount of coverage. I'd say this is probably a light to medium buildable if I had to like give it a solid guess. Yeah, this is going on like a light but medium. I put a good amount on, so that's why I'm saying it's light to medium. I'm sure if you put less on, it's going to be more of a light coverage. Feels great, like I said. A little on the difficult side to work into the skin, but just slightly. Like, nothing, I don't even want to mention that really because it's barely something worth mentioning. There's no texture issue, that it's not clinging to any dryness in my cheek. It's not enhancing my pores. It has a beautiful, healthy, vibrant, luminous finish to it, which is just beautiful. Like, love the finish. I'd say if you are oily, you definitely want to powder this down with some translucent powder, like a loose powder, just to kind of lock it into place because I feel like it's the type of foundation that is going to move around throughout the day. It's not going to be a self-setting foundation like a matte finish would. If you have combination skin, I think it'd be great. Normal skin, great. Mature skin, especially, wonderful. And dry skin, I think if you have dry skin, this is probably going to be like my top rated for dry skin. I have a feeling. I mean, it's really pretty. I really like this. Color is good. Definitely a great color match. I'm really happy about that. I'm going to continue to wear this for sure because this is really pretty on. And it just feels beautiful. It feels like skin. It feels like my skin is like hydrated. It feels like it's nourished. It doesn't feel heavy at all. I'm really liking this. I'm a big fan of this already. I definitely think this is worth checking out. Like I said, if you fit any of the descriptions that I said a second ago where, you know, if you have more dry skin, especially, or mature skin, or normal skin, this is going to be a really great formula to check out. If you don't want a heavy coverage and you don't want that heavy feeling, This is beautiful. It's the L'Oreal Age Perfect Radiant Serum Foundation. We're actually, if you can believe it, we're nearing the end of all these drugstore foundations. I can't believe it. I'm shocked because I've had so many to go through. I'm excited for this one. It's the Revlon Illuminance Skin Caring Foundation. It has 5% squalene, hyaluronic acid, and what else? It's skin caring foundation, like it says. Makeup with skincare in one. Medium coverage, natural finish, reduces the appearance of wrinkles over time. Okay. Deeply hydrates skin. All right. Well, I picked up the shade 313. So let's check it out. It says 313 light tan. I'm excited for this. I'm very excited for this. It has a pump. I love a pump. Feels a lot more high end with a pump. And you know what? I kind of want to do my fingers with this. Let's try this out with my fingertips. Shade is nice. It has that typical wet paint scent to it, but this looks really pretty. Very pretty. Blends in pretty easily. It's a little streaky at first, but you know, I am using my fingertips, so that's kind of to be expected to a certain extent. Okay, actually no, it's blending in well. It's blending in really well. I take that back. Beautiful finish. Very soft. Feels amazing. I'm gonna layer a little bit more and see if we can build this up. It didn't say whether or not you can build it, I don't think, unless I missed it. No, it just says medium coverage. I don't think this is a medium coverage, so I think this is a light to medium, but buildable. As you see, like I'm building it up very easily. Really melts into my skin. Looks very flawless. Wow. If you can get over the wet paint smell to it, I think this is a great one to check out. I think this is really pretty. Feels amazing on my skin. Feels amazing. I'm so happy with the color because I could actually continue to wear this out in public and it's gonna match me pretty well, which is great. Yeah, I think that's beautiful. It's really pretty. It's a little streaky still. It's not the best formula that I've tried out of the glowy ones that I've tried in this whole video, but I think it's definitely worth checking out. I don't think it's the best, like I said, but I think it's worth checking out. If you have oily skin, I wouldn't do it. It's going to be way too luminous, way too glowy. It's probably going to slide down your face throughout the day if you have really oily skin. If you have combination skin, like combination oily, you could probably get away with using it with a little bit of setting powder, which I would recommend anyway to lock your makeup into place. This is going to be better for normal to combination dry to mature skin. This is going to be a great formula for anyone who fits that description. So worth checking out if that sounds like you. I don't think it's the best glowy one that I've tried in this entire video. It's up there. It's very nice. I think I'd still recommend it. The L'Oreal Illuminance Skin Caring Foundation. We're going to bring it back to a really old school Neutrogena formula. This has been around for at least a decade, probably more. I lose track of time. I remember seeing this on the shelves for a really, really, really long time. It's the Neutrogena Healthy Skin Liquid Makeup. This is with titanium dioxide sunscreen, broad spectrum SPF 20. It has an antioxidant blend. And what else does this say about it? That's about it. Okay, so let's try this out. It doesn't say what the amount of coverage you get with this is. The shade that I picked up is Natural Beige number 60. I'm gonna shake it. Feels a lot more liquidy. And it is a classic Neutrogena pour out. So I'm gonna apply this one with my Real Techniques 200 brush and just get a good amount. I basically just stuck my brush in there. I know that's, not the right thing to do. I just didn't feel like pouring out a ton of liquid and risking it. So let's apply it. Let's see what it wears like. Let's see what it looks like on. Stuck that right at my nose. It has a slight wet paint scent to it, but it's not that bad. Okay, so this melted into my skin very quickly. Healthy Skin Liquid Makeup. Color is off, obviously, as you can see. It's, that's nice. I'd say this is a medium coverage, but probably buildable. So let's build it up a little bit. I am gonna pour some out and let's layer it, see if we can build it up to be more coverage than it is starting out to be. Okay, yeah, definitely buildable. I feel like this would be one that's gonna oxidize because I feel like it's actually oxidizing on my skin as I'm applying another layer. But all in all, this has a really pretty finish. This has a really, really nice finish. The blend is easy. It looks smooth. It looks healthy on my skin. It's giving me a nice amount of coverage. I feel like it's kind of nice that it's a customizable coverage where if you put a small amount on, you can get like a nice light, more natural coverage, and if you build it up, you can build up to be obviously like a full coverage like I am right now. So that's nice. You get like a good amount of versatility with this foundation. Feels very comfortable and very nice on my skin. It doesn't feel like I have like a heavy, cakey foundation from the drugstore on my skin. I actually feel the feeling of it is actually very nice. Color aside, I think this is really nice. Really, really nice. I think this is easy to apply, easy to work with, and it seems like it would be good for, I can't think of any skin type that it wouldn't be good for. So whether you're dry, oily, and anything in between, I think this would work really well for anyone. So this is nice. I really like this. This is definitely worth checking out for sure. I would definitely recommend this one. I'm surprised. It's the Neutrogena Healthy Skin Liquid Makeup. Okay, this next one is also $18 where I picked it up. I bought this at Walgreens. And like I said in the beginning of this video, Walgreens was by far the most high-priced drugstore. So in my opinion, I wouldn't buy at Walgreens unless you can find some sales, which is, I don't know how often they're doing sales. I did get this one, buy one, get one half off, which helped, which was nice. But if you were just buying it on a normal day that they're not having a discount or a sale, or a promo, I should say, then it's really expensive, really overpriced. I think just as something to keep in mind, if you are someone who's a consumer that's going to shop at the drugstore and buy foundation, buy it at Walmart. Either walmart.com or in person at Walmart, whatever floats your boat, whatever you're into, buy at Walmart because Walmart is by far the least expensive out of all the drugstores. Like that's where I got the best deals by far. So all that to say, this is $18 at Walgreens. It's the Covergirl plus Olay. I love Olay. It reminds me of my mom. Simply Ageless, Hyaluronic Complex, and Vitamin C 3-in-1 foundation. I picked up the shade 242 medium beige. You can see it has like skincare swirled into it. So it's like a moisturizer mixed with your foundation. You combine them, you get like a nice glowy sheer tinted moisturizer. Basically, it's essentially what you're getting. If you mix a moisturizer with your foundation, even whatever you have at home, you mix the two together, you have your own custom tinted moisturizer. In case you didn't know that, you can make anything, any foundation, a tinted moisturizer if you just combine the two. That's what they did here for you. So without further ado, let's pump this out. Okay. I don't know why I was picturing like seeing a white and a skin tone swirl in there, but it just comes out one skin tone. So let's test it out. I love the pump. I like the packaging. It's simple, it's easy, it's plastic, it's not gonna break. It seems like it's good, it's not gonna like leak. I look for these things. Definitely has a fragrance to it. Let's put this on with the BK Beauty 101. This is a fantastic foundation brush. It smells like fruity. Definitely smells fruity, but it smells nice. Okay, wow, this is nice. Oh, this is so nice. Wow, melted into my skin like it's made of butter. I'm even gonna put it over my redness just a little bit because I want to see the coverage. That's really pretty. That took pretty much next to no effort to blend into my skin. That just happened instantly. It was so quick, so easy. Color is perfect. I love the shade. It's so nice and neutral. I feel like it's like a nice, like flexible shade where multiple people with different undertones can wear this and get away with it, and it's gonna blend into their skin nicely. So good job on the undertones. I'm gonna layer just a touch more just to see what happens, because why not? But it looks beautiful. It's very smoothing. It's a satin finish, which I wasn't expecting because, it's supposed to be like more of a tinted moisturizer with just based on like the mixing that it has going on. I wasn't expecting a satin finish. I'm pleasantly surprised. I love the finish. I think the finish is beautiful. It looks beautiful. I love it. But this brush also helps a lot. It just melts things into your skin within seconds. But wow, very impressed by this. The fragrance does not bother me because it doesn't smell bad. It doesn't smell like chemical-y or like wet paint like the other ones did. It just has like a soft, clean, fruity scent to it, but it's not overpowering, so just keep that in mind. The finish is just stunning. I can't get over this finish. I think this finish is just gorgeous. If this was in a high-end foundation formula, I would be loading my makeup kit up with it. Like my professional makeup kit would be loaded with this because that looks flawless. It's so pretty. It's not clinging to any dryness on my cheek. It's not enhancing my pores. And if anything, it's giving it a very airbrushed, soft focus type feeling. And it also feels incredible on my skin. I am so thrilled with this one. I can't wait to continue to wear this. I have to rate, this is going to get a really high rating. This is like very beautiful on. This is going to be a standout for sure. Highly recommend this. It's the Covergirl Olay Simply Ageless Foundation. Okay, get ready. We have just two more foundations to test out from the drugstore. This second to last one is the Revlon Colorstay 24-hour Longwear makeup. This says it's for normal to dry skin. Okay, so hyaluronic acid, 24-hour wear. It has sunscreen, it has SPF 20 sunscreen in it, and I picked up the shade 392. Let's see in the back, does it say anything else? Natural finish, hydrates skin for 24 hours, improves skin's quality day after day, oil-free, and that's about it. So let's test this out. Oops, I almost made a huge mess. Has a pump. Pump it on the top of my hand. And let's put this on with a 106. Smells like wet paint. Cool. What shade did I get? Okay, so it's just $3.92. That doesn't tell you the undertone or anything like that. Okay, so far, natural finish. So it doesn't tell you what the coverage is. It just says it's a natural finish. So I'd say this is more of a light to medium coverage. This is a streaky nightmare. I mean, it's just, you try to tap it in and it leaves you streaky. Look at that. This should not happen when you're blending a foundation on. Also, I feel like it's changing color on my skin as we're speaking. But look at that. So if I rub this way, it does this. What? Whoa. Whoa. This is weird. Okay, this is so strange. Let me put this on my finger. I just want to see, why is it changing color so much? And it basically lifts itself up. It's like, as you're blending it on another layer, it's lifting up the layer that's underneath. That shouldn't happen with a foundation. It just shouldn't. A good foundation will not do that. It will build upon itself because it's meant to work, you know, with itself. It's meant to be compatible and layering on top of another layer of it. So it's weird that it's not doing that. It's better if I pat it in, but still, if I go like, okay, it's better now. But still, I've layered so much foundation in this area and it's still see-through. I can totally see through the coverage. It's streaky, it's hard to blend, and it's wanting to dry down very quick, probably because it's claiming to be a 24-hour wear. You know, longwear foundations, they try to automatically dry down so they stay put on your skin, even without having to set it with powder. That works with some foundations, like some good formulas. It's not working with this one. This one is absolutely terrible. I would not recommend this to anyone. This is just not a good formula. There's so many other good formulas out there. This is not worth checking out at all. Sorry. It's the Revlon Colorstay Longwear Makeup. Are you ready for the last one? I have the last drugstore foundation that I'm going to be testing out for this video. Hopefully there's not one that I missed. I really don't think that I missed any. Like I said, I went to 4 different places to get all the drugstore foundations I could possibly get my hands on that were even available. So I don't think I missed any. If I did, comment below and let me know. I'll be heartbroken if I did because I tried really hard not to. I just went everywhere. So the last one I'm going to test out, I'm really excited for this one. It's $19 where I picked it up. It's the L'Oreal Tru Match Lumi. It's the Healthy Luminous Makeup. I can't wait for this one. It just sounds right up my alley. A luminous, healthy luminous makeup, it's count me in, right? So it's SPF 20. We won't get into that again. And I picked up the shade W4 Warm. Now, I'm assuming same brand, L'Oreal, and I have W4 in this formula and that worked perfectly on me. So I'm really hoping that the Tru Match Lumi in the same shade is gonna be the same because I have high hopes for this foundation. I really do. So let's test it out. It's our last one. Has a pump, which I love. Feels a little more luxe for a drugstore. It's just in my head, but it feels more luxe and I love this color. All right, let's get into it. Let's try it out. So I'm gonna pump it out on the top of my hand. Let's apply it with my favorite. I want to just put it on in my favorite kind of way, which is with a 106 from BK Beauty. So I'm gonna dip into that foundation. Are you ready for the last swipe? Doesn't smell like anything. So that's nice, right? No, it doesn't smell like anything. Okay, let's blend this in. Okay, nice. Very luminous. Now I want to mix it up a little bit just to really test out this last one. And let's actually bring it on my chin. Because you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to probably put this on my entire face to film the rest of this video, to film my closing thoughts on these foundations. So why don't we just put this all over? Let's do it. Let's test it all out everywhere. The color is perfect. I'm so happy about that. You know, L'Oreal, like I said, you gotta hand it to L'Oreal. They have the best shade range. Nobody can touch their shade range. So to me, they are the top of drugstore foundations. Nobody is gonna come close to them. Formula is beautiful. I had a little bit of a tough time blending it in, to be fully honest. Yeah, I had a little bit of a tough time, but let's apply a little bit more with my finger just to get a feel for what it actually physically feels like. Okay. Yeah, blends on nice. It doesn't melt into my skin right away, but it's close to it. It's very, very close to it. The finish is just stunning. Absolutely stunning. I love the luminosity it gives. It's not too much. It doesn't feel like it's going to drip off my skin. It actually feels like it would stay a decent amount of time. However, I would still absolutely set this with, at the very least, a T-zone powder. Like, so focusing on the T-zone where you get more oily if you're someone who gets oily like myself, just so it has more longevity and it stays looking flawless longer. Coverage is beautiful. It's definitely buildable. Let's just build up a little bit more just to see if it builds up. Okay, yeah, so it's a buildable coverage. I'd say it's a light medium coverage to start, builds up to be close to a full coverage. Like, you can definitely get this to be close to a full coverage, if not a full coverage, as I get that in my mouth. And feels amazing. Feels like a high-end, luxurious foundation. Feels like a Armani Luminous Silk, to be completely honest. And you know I'm a hardcore fan of Armani Luminous Silk. But that is beautiful. Makes my skin feel really healthy, really light, doesn't feel heavy on my skin. What else can I say about it? I mean, I feel like it's just a solid, beautiful, luminous foundation. I'm a big, big fan of this already. I'm definitely going to continue to wear this and test it out. It looks smooth. It's not clinging to any dryness on my cheek. It's giving a beautiful coverage. Buildable, like I said, so you can layer it up. You can customize the coverage you get. It's stunning. This is a win. This is a total win, in my opinion. Highly recommend this. Like I said, if you are oily, you can still wear this. I would just suggest, of course, setting it with a powder because you want it to stay put and not slide down your face. If you're normal, combo, and especially dry, especially mature, I think this is a really, really great drugstore foundation to check out. So yeah, I think this is going to be a top runner for sure. But stay tuned. I'm going to put this on the rest of my face and then I'm going to give you my closing thoughts on these foundations, and I'm going to tell you what my top ones were that I tested out in this video. So get ready, give me a couple seconds. Let me get the rest of my face on. Let me touch up my lip. But this is the L'Oreal Tru Match Lumi Healthy Luminous Makeup. Highly recommend it. Now that we've tried 45 drugstore foundations, can you believe that? 45? If you sat through this whole video, I'm sending you a big air hug. Thank you for hanging out with me during this entire video. It was a long one. We had so many foundations to try out from so many different brands. But now I'm going to give you my top foundations, my top standouts, the ones that I think are just phenomenal formulas for drugstore and are just worth trying. Drugstore or not, these are incredible foundations. So let me share with you my top picks for drugstore foundation. The first one is going to be the best overall, like the best overall that checks all the boxes, that gives you a beautiful coverage, a beautiful finish, like I said, that just gives you everything that you need. It's the L'Oreal Tru Match Super Blendable Foundation. This is the best overall, in my opinion. Out of all the 45 foundations I tried, this one stands out as the best overall, in my opinion. If you agree with me or if you try it, you have to leave me a comment and let me know what you think. I think this is just a phenomenal foundation in general. Drugstore aside, in general, this is a great foundation. The next one I want to talk about is, in my opinion, the best overall for mature skin. Mature, more dry skin. This is the L'Oreal Age Perfect Radiant Serum Foundation. It has SPF 50 in it, which is incredible and unheard of for a drugstore formula. The way this blends into your skin is amazing. The feeling of it is amazing. It looks gorgeous. It's a great, great foundation. I highly recommend this if you are mature, if you have more dry skin, or if you just want a luminous, lightweight, hydrating foundation that's gonna look soft and more glowy on your skin. This is stunning, absolutely stunning. Highly recommend this one. Now, the next standout foundation is actually two of them, but to me, they're pretty much the same formula. It's the L'Oreal Infallible. One is the new Pro Matte finish, and then the other one is the Infallible 24-Hour Fresh Wear. This is the old school one. In my opinion, this is the best one. However, this is a close second. Now, these are the best, in my opinion, full coverage matte foundations. They look the most like skin. They look flawless on. They're easy to blend on. The color range is pretty good with these. You get a great wear time with them. Obviously, they're long wearing, but they really do stay put really well throughout the day. I know from experience while using this one for many, many years, this one stays put phenomenally. So I'm assuming this one would do the exact same thing. However, I only tested it out for 2 minutes of this video. Now, this one's not my actual favorite because it is so thick, but I will say it's an honorable mention because it is a really full coverage, super matte, does everything it says it's going to do. It's a full coverage matte foundation. I think it's the most beautiful finish out of all the mattes here. But in my opinion, this one is better. But I had to mention them together because they're basically like a sister formula. They're the same kind of formula. This one's just much more matte. So again, highly recommend this one. This is top notch in my opinion. The next one is kind of in a category of its own. I feel like this is the best, just wearable, daytime, more effortless, feels more lightweight. Like, so think of this as like your Monday through Friday going to work if you don't want a lot of coverage or you want something simple that just doesn't feel heavy on your skin. I guess that's the best way I can describe this one. It feels like a tinted moisturizer, but with more of a satin finish, which I really appreciate. All in all, I think it's just a beautiful formula. This looks so gorgeous on my skin. I love the way it made my skin feel, and I think this is a top notch for sure. So this one's definitely worth checking out. I think this is top notch as far as drugstore foundations go, but as far as any foundations go, this is a really great formula. Now the last one is going to be the glowy category. It's going to be more of that luminous, glowy finish to your foundation. I could not decide between the two of these, so for me, they're a tie. It's the Maybelline Dream Liquid Foundation and then the L'Oreal Tru Match Lumi Healthy Luminous Makeup. These are super similar. They give a beautiful luminous finish to your skin. I ended up finishing my entire makeup with this because this is the last foundation that I tried for this video. So this is actually what I have foundation-wise all over. The rest of my makeup that I put on, like my blush and my bronzer, I'll make sure I link in the description box so you know what it is, including my lip, in case you're curious. But to me, these are just stunning, stunning glowy foundations. I highly recommend either one of them. You can't go wrong with either formula. I couldn't decide between the two, so they are a tie. But these are just outstanding foundations if you want a glowy, luminous finish with some coverage. These are so gorgeous. Now quickly, I want to just touch on some honorable mentions that I was close to putting in my top favorites, but they didn't quite make the cut. But they're worth talking about, so I'm just going to run through them really quickly. I loved the NYX Blur foundation. This was beautiful on. This was a huge surprise to me. This looked stunning on. I mean, just stunning. It's like $6. Definitely had to mention this. This is definitely worth checking out. It's not on my top, but it's worth checking out. The other one that I loved was the Neutrogena Healthy Skin. I almost put this in my tops, but it just didn't quite do enough for me personally, but it is a great foundation. Another one is the Maybelline Fit Me Dewy and Smooth. I thought this was beautiful, like beautiful, beautiful foundation. Definitely worth checking out and also worth mentioning. And then the last two worth mentioning for like a lightweight tinted moisturizer type feel, the Covergirl Clean and Fresh was beautiful on, felt amazing, was easy, blended on super nice, very inexpensive, worth checking out. And lastly, the other one that I really liked that almost made it to this list was the Revlon Age Defying. This was really nice on. I love the way it felt. I love the finish it gave my skin, and definitely still worth checking out. But that wraps up this video. Thank you for sitting with me and trying on 45 different drugstore foundations. I hope you had fun. Leave me a comment. Let me know what your favorites were that you saw in this video. I want to hear your favorite dewy, your favorite matte, your favorite more anti-aging. Leave me all your favorites. And if you want to see more videos like this, you can check them out right here. Don't forget to like this video if you like drugstore foundations. Subscribe to my channel. It really helps me out. And I'll see you soon. Bye.